Chapter 4173. The boiling divine dragon blood made Shi Yutong feel hotter and hotter. Under the effect of Kong Shinmu's devouring power, the dragon mark energy in his body was constantly being extracted and passed on to the girl. Finally, when it was close to dawn, a loud dragon roar came from the inn. This dragon roar came from the girl's body, startling the area within 100 miles. Improved. The dragon martial artists of Eternal Wasteland Dragon City were all too familiar with the phenomenon of the divine dragon blood upgrading. The promotion of a true dragon to a sky dragon meant that Shi Yutong's combat power had increased by several times. This was undoubtedly something that the girl never dared to think about. It really works. Even Kong Shinmu himself did not expect it to have such an effect. However, it would not be so easy to help her raise her heavenly dragon to the level of a holy dragon with the divine dragon's inheritance blood essence. After all, Kong Shinmu felt that there was not much dragon mark energy left in his body, so it was impossible for him to do it. Now that he was a Dragon King level of inheritance blood, the amount of dragon mark energy needed to upgrade was more than 10 times that of before, so the dragon mark energy was indispensable to him. To put it simply, the amount of dragon mark energy he used to help Shi Yutong raise her true dragon blood essence to sky dragon blood essence could be fully absorbed by him in the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy in a day at 3 times the speed. However, it was not so easy to upgrade her from sky dragon to holy dragon. Even with Kong Shinmu's speed, it would take him half a month. The main thing was that he had just advanced to Dragon King, so there was no more dragon mark energy to be extracted. When Shi Yutong advanced to sky dragon, she was so excited that she was dazed. She could not help but throw away the bath towel wrapped around her body. Looking at her jade-like white skin, under which there was a layer of boiling heavenly dragon blood, she was extremely excited. Cough, cough, you. Kong Shinmu was a little embarrassed. He looked at the young girl's well-developed body and did not know where to look. Aya. The girl was too excited. When Kong Shinmu coughed, she finally reacted and quickly pulled up the blanket to cover her body. It's fine. Let's go. We'll continue to the Demon Hunters Association and see if we can meet your sister. Kong Shinmu turned around. Of course, he didn't take a second look. Brother Shenwu, let me ask you a question. Shi Yutong slyly asked, did anything happen between you and sister? What kind of things are you talking about? Kong Shinmu asked in a deep voice. Exactly that kind of thing that a man and a woman should do. Kong Shinmu did not expect this little girl to be so open-minded. However, he shook his head. What are you thinking about at such a young age? Hurry up and get dressed. We're leaving. After saying this, Kong Shinmu left the room. But in Shi Yutong's eyes, he seemed to be escaping in a sorry state, as if he couldn't withstand her attacks. This made her cover her mouth and chuckle. Very quickly, she finished packing up and followed Kong Shinmu to the hall of the Demon Hunters Association headquarters. What if we can't wait until today? Shi Yutong asked curiously. We'll wait for 3 days. Kong Shinmu shook his head and said, if we can't wait for 3 days, I'll go find the Flame Dragon Envoy and ask him to order an investigation of your sister's movements. Shi Yutong admired Kong Shinmu greatly. To be able to know the Flame Dragon Envoy in the Yen Dragon Emperor's court was really an amazing thing. However, the girl was also very clear that with Kong Shinmu's current level, even the Flame Dragon Envoy would have to be respectful to him. Demon Hunters Association headquarters. They were still waiting in the hall, watching the people coming and going, not missing any dragon martial artists that passed by. Shi Yutong was drowsy from waiting. I really want to go out and try the Sky Dragon level Divine Dragon Blood Essence. In Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, dragon martial artists were not allowed to transform into dragons, so she naturally could not try it. So now she was a little anxious, but she had not seen her sister yet, so she could not go out at this time. In the afternoon of this day, there were suddenly 2 familiar figures that appeared without warning in Kong Shinmu's line of sight. 2 young girls wearing ice blue dresses had joined a young dragon martial artists team. They seemed to have just completed some Demon Hunters Association mission and returned from outside. Those 2 girls, weren't they Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue? After Jiang Liuxue left the Jiang clan and came out to gain experience, she accompanied Shi Yueying and came to Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. The 2 of them had joined a young dragon martial artists team to carry out the Demon Hunters Association's power together. It could be felt that the young dragon martial artists team had a very good overall strength. At least with Jiang Liuxue and Shi Yueying's strength, They could only be considered to be in the middle or lower reaches of the team. N. Shi Yueying is injured? Kong Xinmu frowned. He could see that Shi Yueying's condition was not right. Her cold face was a little haggard. Zhang Liuxue had a cold personality, but she and Shi Yueying had long become good sisters. At this moment, Zhang Liuxue was supporting Shi Yueying and taking care of her. Let's go. Kong Xinmu brought Shi Yutong and prepared to go forward to ask about the situation. At this time, the sound of quarreling suddenly came from the front. Hong Ji, you're saying that we can only get 5% of the demon hunter's points? Shi Yueying's cold voice sounded, as if she was suppressing her anger. That's right, the two of you did not put in much effort in this mission. Giving you 5% is already not bad. A tall woman wearing a red dress said lightly, not putting Zhang Liuxue and Shi Yueying in her eyes. In this mission the two of us are bait. Zhang Liuxue's expression also became very cold. She was even injured. Without us, the entire mission would not have been completed. Sorry, the bait mission can be completed by anyone. So, it's insignificant. Giving you 5% is already not bad. The red dress woman's mouth curled up as she said disdainfully. Hong Ji, you think that we are outsiders and want to bully us? Shi Yueying was calmer and asked indifferently. If you admit it like this, then we don't need to cooperate in the future. I don't need any points for this mission. Hey, what's wrong with the two of you? The other mean little girl with two braids snorted. You're saying that my sister cheated you? This is framing. Let me tell you, if you want to scram, then scram. If we hear anything bad about my sister, don't even think about staying in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. Let's go. Zhang Liuxue and Shi Yueying's expressions were not good, but the other party's background was too big. They really could not go against them. However, just as they turned around, they saw two familiar figures rushing over. Don't be in a hurry to leave. It was Kong Xinmu who had brought Shi Yutong over. He squinted his eyes and sized up the other dragon warriors and said indifferently, with me here, I will uphold justice for you. Chapter 4174. Kong Xinmu walked over with Shi Yutong. As he walked, he spoke, attracting everyone's attention. The red-dressed girl, the mean girl, and the other members of their team all looked towards Kong Xinmu. As for Shi Yueying and Zhang Liuxue, their faces lit up with joy. You've come? They hadn't seen Kong Xinmu for a long time. They only knew that Kong Xinmu had gone to Donghuang Yonggu College. They didn't know how long it would be before he would return, and it was even possible that he wouldn't return. During this period of time, they had missed Kong Xinmu immensely. Of course, Shi Yueying missed him the most. As for Zhang Liuxue, she was always thinking about what realm Kong Xinmu was at now. She wanted to try and catch up to Kong Xinmu. Although she knew that it was too difficult to catch up to Kong Xinmu, she had to work hard in this direction. I'm here. With me here. No one can bully you. Kong Xinmu nodded solemnly. It's fine, it's fine. Shi Yueying's heart was filled with joy. As soon as she saw Kong Xinmu, she even forgot about the unhappiness she had just experienced. As long as she saw Kong Xinmu, even if he didn't do anything, she would still be very happy. You sure talk big. At this time, the mean girl next to the red-dressed girl laughed mockingly. Shi Yueying, Zhang Liuxue. Who is this guy? Does this have anything to do with you? Zhang Liuxue looked coldly at the mean girl. Of course it has something to do with me. The red-dressed girl covered her mouth and chuckled. She sized up Kong Xinmu. This young master's tone is not small. He said he would uphold justice for you. However, this is our team's matter. It's not convenient for outsiders to participate, right? I remember that in the Demon Hunter Association's missions, if bait is needed, the bait should be the one that earns the most points. Kong Xinmu ignored her words. You must know that bait is the most dangerous. If you're not careful, your life will be in danger. Generally speaking, you can get at least 30% of the total points for this mission. But you let Zhang Liuxue and Shi Yueying act as bait, yet you only gave them 5% of the points. I've never heard of such a method of distribution. His voice wasn't soft, and many passers-by heard him. Many passers-by dragon martial artists surrounded them, whispering and pointing. Isn't that Hong Ji? He's bullying the new members of the team again. No wonder some people don't like him. Keep your voice down. Hongji and her sister Lu Yueji are the daughters of the city lord of Heavenly Wasteland City. Even if it's a little unfair, what can you do? This hothead wants to stand out and accuse Hongji. He is simply looking for trouble. Who doesn't know that Hongji can cover the sky with one hand in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland? Many dragon martial artists began to discuss. Their discussions also reached Kong Shinmu's ears. He finally knew that Hongji was the daughter of the city lord. No wonder she was so arrogant. From the looks of it, this wasn't the first time they had set up a trap for their team members. In any case, if the team left, there would be new people joining. After all, their team's overall strength was strong, and they were famous in the Dragon City Demon Hunters Association. After a few times, they would be able to obtain twice as many Demon Hunter points as the others. Furthermore, with their status, the other dragon martial artists had no way to resist. If they were tricked, they could only silently leave the team. It was impossible for them to seek justice. Friend, what you said is quite interesting. Hongji laughed and sized up Kong Shinmu. If you want to stand up for a woman, you have to consider the price you have to pay. If you apologize to us now and take them away, I won't make things difficult for you. How about it? Apologize, impossible. Kong Shinmu sneered. Give them the Demon Hunter points that they deserve, and this matter will be over. It seems like you're very tough. Since that's the case, let the people from the Demon Hunters Association be the judge? Hongji looked at Kong Shinmu with a face full of disdain, and did not put him in her eyes at all. Director Ma, come over and judge. For this Demon Hunter mission, should I give them 5% or 30% of the points? She called over a middle-aged dragon martial artist beside her. The middle-aged dragon martial artist was wearing the uniform of the Demon Hunters Association's director, and was in charge of handling such matters in the Demon Hunters Association's hall. How could this Director Ma not know Hongji's identity? In fact, he was very familiar with this kind of thing, and had done it countless times. Cough cough, of course it's 5%. It's just being the bait. Anyone can do this kind of job, any two people can do it. Director Ma squinted his eyes and looked down at Kong Shinmu, Zhang Liuxue, Shi Weiying and Shi Yutong sisters. He realized that he did not know these people at all, and said disdainfully, if you don't agree with this distribution, say it earlier, Miss Hongji will naturally send someone else. Is there any point in saying it only after the mission is completed? Even at the beginning of the mission, Hongji said that whoever is willing to be the bait will get 30% of the Demon Hunter points. Shi Weiying gritted her teeth. Originally, she did not want to cause trouble, but since Kong Shinmu had come, and his attitude was unyielding, she definitely had to help Kong Shinmu. That's because you didn't do it properly. The girl with two braids behind Hongji sneered. Just being the bait. You actually spent a day luring a demon beast. Giving you 5% of the points is already good enough. A day? When she said this, many people around her sucked in a breath of cold air. Generally speaking, being the bait of a demon beast was a technical job, and it was common for one to take 2 to 3 days. A day was really nothing, right? But since it was Lu Yueji who said it, no one dared to refute. They looked at Kong Shinmu, but saw that Kong Shinmu did not pay any attention to what the sister said, and instead turned his gaze to Director Ma. You are Director Ma, right? It seems like you have done this kind of thing quite a lot. Kong Shinmu chuckled. Do you still remember the rules of the Demon Hunters Association? Regarding the matters of bait, the manual should have clearly recorded it, right? A day's time to lure the demon beast is definitely qualified. Since it has passed and successfully completed the mission, naturally it should be distributed according to the 30% that was agreed upon at the beginning. That's only qualified for other teams. In our team, if the bait can't lure out the demon beast within 6 hours, it will be considered unqualified. The girl with two braids, Lu Yueji, puffed out her chest and said with a face full of pride, completely looking down on Kong Shinmu. Her words were extremely domineering, causing all the surrounding Demon Hunters Association dragon warriors to feel that it was too much. Unfortunately, with his status, what could they do? Furthermore, this matter had nothing to do with them. Director Ma, someone is being unreasonable. It's time to kick him out, right? The corner of Hongji's mouth curled up as she looked at Kong Shinmu in ridicule. And leave it to me. Director Ma sneered. He had worked in the Demon Hunters Association of Dragon City for many years, and was a holy dragon's inheritance blood essence. He was not an ordinary staff member. Furthermore, he was already at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. At his age, it was already very impressive to have such an achievement. Chapter 4175. Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. The hall of the Demon Hunters Union's headquarters was filled with tension. Many of the dragon warriors in the hall retreated to the sides, pointing at Kong Shinmu and the three women as they discussed animatedly. Is this kid courting death? How dare he go against Princess Hongji? Why doesn't he take a look at himself first? That's right. He even dared to provoke Director Ma. He must be tired of living. I heard that there was once a girl who was being unreasonable here, and was forcibly taken away by Director Ma. Later, I heard that she died on Director Ma's bed the next day. How is it unreasonable? It was clearly Director Ma who took a fancy to her and wanted to defile her. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore, lest he sets his eyes on us. No matter what, this brat and those three pretty girls actually dared to provoke Director Ma. They're finished this time. Who knows, those three girls might even die in Director Ma's bed after this, hee hee. Many people lowered their voices as they looked at the scene. They knew Director Ma's character very well. There were even many people who envied Director Ma, thinking that he would be able to get three beautiful girls at once. How great would it be to bring them back? As for Kong Shinmu, no one cared about him at all. After all, to them, he was just a young man. A young man with an unfamiliar face. What background could he have? His strength was definitely not comparable to Director Ma's. In their eyes, not to mention this unfamiliar Kong Shinmu, even in the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, there was not a single young man who could defeat Director Ma. But how would they know Kong Shinmu's identity? Suddenly, Kong Shinmu took a step forward and stared at Director Ma, Hongji, and the others with a cold expression. This group of people was really lawless. Even the Demon Hunters Union's director was so arrogant. This kind of thing should happen everywhere. Originally, it had nothing to do with Kong Shinmu, but unfortunately, they had provoked him. Since he was here, he couldn't just watch as Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue were wronged. Make your move. Prepare to die. Kong Shinmu said to Director Ma. Hong Ji and Lu Yueji were nothing to Kong Shinmu. Director Ma was stronger than them, but that was the limit of what Kong Shinmu could deal with. After all, he had the Dragon King's inherited blood essence, which was a level higher than Director Ma. So, even if Director Ma's cultivation was 4 levels higher than his, so what? What? When he heard that Kong Shinmu wanted him to die, Director Ma felt as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. You idiot, don't tell me your brain is damaged? Since that's the case, I'll do as you wish and send you to hell. Causing trouble at the headquarters of the Demon Hunters Guild is punishable by death. But just as he said this, his expression suddenly changed, and his eyes revealed a trace of disbelief and fear. This was because he saw that Kong Shinmu had suddenly transformed into a divine dragon. It was a pitch-black divine dragon, and he couldn't tell the attribute of the divine dragon's inherited blood essence, but there was one thing he was sure of. Dragon King's inherited blood essence. Who are you? Director Ma's expression changed drastically. The moment he saw Kong Shinmu's divine dragon form, he was extremely shocked. To him, this was completely unbelievable. How could a mere youth possess the inherited blood essence of Dragon King's level? However, Kong Shinmu didn't give him an answer. Even though everyone around him had shocked expressions on their faces, he didn't care at all. In his eyes, there was only Director Ma's repulsive face. Murderous intent spread from his pitch-black divine dragon eyes, and an endless devouring force was released from his body. Kill! With a furious roar, the black dragon that Jiang Shenwu had transformed into swept towards Director Ma under the shocked gazes of everyone present. You're courting death. Director Ma gritted his teeth. Even though he was shocked, he couldn't just sit and wait for death. Moreover, he could sense that Kong Shinmu's cultivation was only at the 2nd stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. At this stage, he might be able to defeat him. Therefore, in the next moment, Director Ma transformed into a green-winged divine dragon. A hurricane roared from his transformed divine dragon body and turned into a tornado that swept toward the black dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into. Dragon Martial Technique. Wild Wind Blade Explosion. The endless wind attribute energy enveloped Kong Shinmu, completely enveloping him. The might of this dragon martial skill made everyone in the surroundings exclaim in admiration. This is a second-grade dragon martial technique. It's too powerful. I've been dreaming of cultivating a second-grade dragon martial technique. Even a Nirvana Tribulation powerhouse with the inherited blood essence of a divine dragon would have to work hard for most of his life to exchange for a second-grade dragon martial technique, right? That's right. This dragon martial technique is too precious. Its power is definitely beyond imagination. Even if that kid has inherited blood essence of a Dragon King level, it would still be difficult for him to overcome such a huge gap and defeat Director Ma, right? Everyone in the surroundings looked at the fierce battle in the arena. All of them were discussing animatedly and pointing at the arena. However, they were all shocked. Because in their eyes, they saw that the black dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into did not dodge. Instead, he went straight for the wild wind blade explosion. He wanted to use his divine dragon body to resist the second-grade dragon martial technique. Before they could react, the body of the black dragon let out a roar. Following this roar, they discovered in disbelief that the power of the Grade 2 dragon martial technique, the wild wind blade explosion, was directly dispersed by the body of the black dragon. The terrifying power spread throughout the hall of the Demon Hunters Union. It even alarmed some of the truly powerful people in charge of the Demon Hunters Union. At the same time, someone in the Demon Hunters Union had transformed into a dragon, which alarmed all the guards in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. In the hall of the Demon Hunters Union, the black dragon body that Kong Shinmu had transformed into was as swift as a black lightning. It swept to the side of the green wind dragon that Director Ma had transformed into. The vast Nirvana devouring force directly enveloped his entire body. What is this power? Director Ma's green eyes were filled with panic. He felt that the power in his body was rapidly draining away. He quickly mobilized the wind element spiritual chi in his body in an attempt to resist Kong Shinmu. Unfortunately, the moment his wind element spiritual chi gathered, it was swallowed by the endless pitch-black Nirvana devouring force. Go to hell! Kong Shinmu let out a furious roar. The Nirvana devouring force actually erupted to its strongest. In an instant, the power of Director Ma's divine dragon body was reduced to half. More than half of Director Ma's life force was also sucked away in an instant. He instantly became dispirited and listless. This was a method of using the Nirvana devouring force that Kong Shinmu had comprehended. He had comprehended it himself when he was in Donghuang Yonggu College. It could be considered as a self-created dragon martial technique that allowed the Nirvana devouring force to erupt in a short period of time. Chapter 4176. The sudden burst of devouring power caused Director Ma's divine dragon body to deteriorate. Not only did Kong Shinmu devour the Nirvana force in his body, but even his life aura was devoured by Kong Shinmu. He became extremely weak in an instant. Director Ma's divine dragon eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. He had never expected that this inconspicuous guy in front of him would have the inherited blood essence of the Dragon King level. What's more, he did not expect him to have the strength to crush him. This had subverted all the views he had since he was alive. His worldview, his outlook on life, were all shattered. It wasn't just Director Ma, even the other spectators in the main hall of the Demon Hunters Association were extremely shocked at this moment and simply didn't dare to believe it. Director Ma had been completely crushed? Although he was not dead, his aura had obviously been greatly weakened. There was almost no possibility of him turning the tables. On the other hand, Kong Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body was as strong as ever. In fact, his condition was even more terrifying than when he was at his peak. You let go of Director Ma. At this moment, the city governor's daughter, Hong Ji, and Lu Yueji were also somewhat pale. Their strength was not enough to fight against Kong Shinmu. Therefore, they could not stop him and could only speak weakly from the side. If it was someone else, they might have listened to them. After all, they were the daughters of the Dragon City governor and their words carried a lot of weight. No one would have a good ending if they went against them. However, Kong Shinmu could not be bothered to pay attention to them. Let go of Director Ma? That was absolutely impossible. Kong Shinmu could clearly feel that when Director Ma attacked him just now, he had exploded with a terrifying murderous intent. He was determined to kill him. Now that he was in a disadvantageous position, he wanted Kong Shinmu to let go of him. How was that possible? Die! Kong Shinmu's black dragon eyes were filled with murderous intent. He had just heard from passers-by that Director Ma had used his strength and status to bully too many powerless girls. If he was allowed to live, there would definitely be more girls who would be bullied in the future. Therefore, since he had already suppressed the other party, he had to kill him. Even in Dragon City of Abyssal Wasteland, even in front of so many people, he would not let this Director Ma go. Helping the evildoer to do evil and even being devoid of conscience, he deserved to die. As Kong Shinmu's killing intent erupted, his nirvana devouring power once again condensed into a beam and shot out from his dragon head, landing on Director Ma's divine dragon body, which was completely suppressed. Although Director Ma kept struggling, he did not have the slightest ability to resist. Kong Shinmu had completely devoured all the life force in his divine dragon body. His life force had completely dissipated. Director Ma's divine dragon body became a dead dragon, lying limply in the hall of the Demon Hunters Association of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. Then, Kong Shinmu grabbed his divine dragon body with his dragon claws and threw him out to the wide street outside. Director Ma was dead. Everyone present was shocked by this scene. It had to be said that Director Ma's position in the Demon Hunters Association of Dragon City of Abyssal Wasteland was definitely worthy of being feared by most people. In the entire Dragon City of Abyssal Wasteland, there were definitely no more than 10 people who could kill him at will. However, this black dragon in front of them was definitely not one of them. This time, things had gotten out of hand. Kong Shinmu recovered from his divine dragon body and returned to the side of Xueqi, Jiang Liuxue, and Shi Yutong with a cold expression. He glanced at the surrounding crowd and said indifferently, "This Director Ma helped the evildoer to do evil and is devoid of conscience. Today, he shall be eliminated as a warning to others." In the past, he did not have this ability. But now that he had this ability, if he encountered injustice, he would naturally pull out his sword and fight back. You're dead." Hongji and Lu Yueji watched Kong Shinmu kill Director Ma, their eyes filled with endless fear. They had never imagined that Jiang Shenwu would actually be such a decisive person when it came to killing. If Kong Shinmu wanted to kill them, they would probably be dead by now, right? Not to mention, this kid actually had the inheritance blood essence of the divine dragon at the level of the Dragon King. This was what really shocked everyone present. It was hard for them to imagine that Kong Shinmu looked so young. How could he possibly have the inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King? It was simply unbelievable. The incomparably terrifying and shocking scene made Kong Shinmu the undisputed focus of the crowd, but no one dared to stop him. "Brother Shinwu, is this really okay?" Shi Yutong looked at the dead body of the divine dragon outside and could not help but feel a little disgusted and worried. "It's fine. I can feel that Senior Fiery Dragon Envoy is already rushing over." Kong Shinmu shook his head and comforted the girls. "Shi Yueing, Jiang Liuxue, I will definitely seek justice for you today." Shi Yueing's pretty face was a little flushed, and her eyes showed that she was touched. She knew that Kong Shinmu was a super talented expert valued by the Flame Dragon Emperor. He had only left for such a short period of time, but he actually had the inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King. Even the Flame Dragon Emperor could not reach this level of talent back then, right? No wonder. Jiang Liuxue looked at Kong Shinmu with a somewhat complicated expression. She had originally set Kong Shinmu as her goal, but now it seemed that the gap between her and Kong Shinmu was getting bigger and bigger. Once upon a time, she might have been able to contend with Kong Shinmu. But now, she had been left so far behind by Kong Shinmu that she could not even see his shadow. She was still scheming against people like Hongji and Lu Yueji, while Kong Shinmu could already use his strength to suppress everyone present. He could even kill the Demon Hunters Guild's Director Ma just like that. The gap was so big that it made Jiang Liuxue feel a little hopeless. It was simply impossible to make up for it. "Everyone stay where you are, don't move." At this moment, a large group of powerful dragon martial artists of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland came from outside the Demon Hunters Guild. They were the Eternal Wasteland Guards. If someone turned into a divine dragon in the city, they would go and punish them. Moreover, before they entered the door, they found that the body of a divine dragon, an existence of the holy dragon level, had already died outside the door, motionless, and its life force had completely dissipated. This made the Eternal Wasteland Guards of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland all look serious. In any case, Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland forbade fighting. It was an iron rule. How many years had it been since something like this had happened in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland? Moreover, the one who had died was a director of the Demon Hunters Guild of Eternal Wasteland City. Chapter 4177. With the arrival of the Heaven Wasteland Guards, the whispers finally stopped. These 20 or so Heaven Wasteland Guards were led by a god captain, a young man with inherited blood essence of the Dragon King level. Although he was a young man, but his age, compared to Kong Shinmu, was much older. Big brother. Hong Ji and Lu Yueji ran directly to the young man, staring at him with adoration. The guard captain of the Heaven Wasteland Guards, this was the youngest and most talented dragon martial artist of their dragon city of Heaven Wasteland. At such a young age, he already possessed the inheritance of Dragon King level blood essence. Although the inheritance of Dragon King level blood essence was not too pure, it had already been raised, and compared to others, there was an extremely huge gap. Now, this guard captain Huang Cheng was also the son of the Dragon City Lord of Heaven Wasteland. What happened to you? Were you bullied by this person? Huang Cheng's face was arrogant, his face full of coldness, staring straight at Kong Shinmu, as if he was looking at a dead man. Yes. Hong Ji's eyes were about to turn red, pretending to be very pitiful. He threatened me, wanted me to hand over all the Demon Hunter points for this mission. Director Ma stood out to help me, but was brutally killed by him. It was a heinous crime. Big brother, you must punish him. It would be best if you killed him on the spot. Lu Yueji looked at Kong Shinmu with a sinister face. Right, this kid also has inherited blood essence of the Dragon King level. Big brother must be careful. Inherited blood essence of the Dragon King level? This caused the expression of the guard to change slightly, carefully sizing up Kong Shinmu. Previously, he did not care much. After all, Dragon City of Heaven Wasteland was his territory. Who would dare to behave atrociously here? Even if he could not handle it, there were many older generations standing behind him. Of course, if nothing unexpected happened, he did not want to draw out the elders for a small matter, because that would mean that his ability to handle matters was too poor. Although it's the Dragon King's inherited blood essence, he's only at the second tier of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Hong Ji reminded him and glanced at Kong Shinmu with a look of disdain. I see. Only then did Huang Qing feel relieved. He was at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, and with the inheritance blood essence of the same level as the Dragon King, he wouldn't be afraid of an opponent who was 2 levels lower than him. Heaven Wasteland Guards, listen up. Guard the Demon Hunters Association and don't let anyone near. Huang Chang coldly ordered. This guard captain will personally meet this little thief and see what makes him so arrogant. At this moment, everyone around them cheered. No matter what, for the surrounding people, this was a great event to watch. No matter who won in the end, they would be able to feast their eyes. Of course, from an emotional point of view, they hoped that Kong Shinmu would win. After all, Director Ma had committed many evil deeds, and Kong Shinmu had killed him, which was really satisfying. In the Demon Hunters Association Hall, it was unknown how many people had heard of Director Ma's misdeeds, and there were even many people who had been harmed by Director Ma and lost a lot of things, all of which were hidden in Director Ma's pocket. Therefore, it was reasonable for them to support Jiang Shenwu. Although the occasion wasn't right, it had to be said that most of them felt carefree when they killed Director Ma in a domineering manner. However, they looked at Kong Shinmu with some sympathy. This kid is so impulsive, what a pity. Causing trouble in Dragon City of Infinite Wasteland will not end well. That's right. Just this guard captain Huang Cheng alone can easily subdue him, Sai. Yeah, not to mention there are so many big shots in Dragon City of Infinite Wasteland. This kid killed Director Ma. It's impossible for him to escape. At this time, inside the Demon Hunters Association, there were also many big shots. They watched Director Ma die. Some were secretly happy, some were angry. The angry, naturally, were the people behind Director Ma. As for those who were secretly happy, of course, they were from another faction, who had long disliked Director Ma. These big shots of the Demon Hunters Association, almost all appeared at the same time, stood to the side and quietly watched the development of the situation. As soon as they appeared, many people around automatically made way for them, so that they could see the situation at the scene. Those few were the real big shots, to be able to become the branch president and vice president of the Demon Hunters Association of Infinite Wasteland City. They were at least Dragon King level of inheritance blood essence, and they were existences that far surpassed the Nirvana Tribulation realm. They were even stronger Rebirth Tribulation realm experts. These few people, were the ruling class of the entire dragon city of Infinite Wasteland. Of course, under normal circumstances, they would not make a move, so as not to be criticized. At least in this dragon city of Infinite Wasteland, according to the rules, only the Heaven Wasteland guards were qualified to transform into dragon warriors. Therefore, this matter was left to the Heaven Wasteland guards. Huang Cheng, take care of this matter. One of the big shots of the Demon Hunters Association, seeing Director Ma's death, his face was extremely gloomy. He calmly said to Baron City. Don't worry, Lord Li. Huang Qing bowed, then turned to face Kong Shinmu, with a hint of ridicule on his face. Kid, do you think you will have a good ending for killing people in Dragon City of Infinite Wasteland? What a pity. It is already very rare for you to have Dragon King level inheritance blood essence at such a young age. Unfortunately, you are courting death. No matter how strong your talent is, if you haven't grown up, what's the use? Huang Cheng's face was full of ridicule. He did not put Kong Shinmu in his eyes at all. I'm too lazy to fight with you. Jiang Xinwu took a look at him, with an indifferent expression. He said, why don't you wait for a while, wait for Senior Flame Dragon Envoy to arrive, then you can make your decision. Believe me, this will only benefit you. Flame Dragon Envoy? Hearing that, Huang Cheng could not help but laugh out loud. Flame Dragon Envoy, do you think that once Flame Dragon Envoy arrives, he will forgive you? I'm sorry, kid, I have to get rid of you before Flame Dragon Envoy arrives. Otherwise wouldn't Flame Dragon Envoy see me as a joke, and think that I'm incapable? Big brother, kill him, take revenge for Director Ma. Yes. Hong Ji and Lu Yueji looked at Kong Shinmu with bloodshot eyes. They did not want him to live at all. In their entire lives, they had never been bullied like this. Even if they were in the wrong, they would not accept it. Therefore they wanted to personally see Kong Shinmu die, killed by their brother. In front of so many people, if Kong Shinmu were to die, it would be enough to prove their strength, that no one in this dragon city could provoke them, and even more so establish their lawless power. You are dead. Chapter 4178. Terrifying lightning flashed in the hall of the Demon Hunters Association, instantly erupting with unimaginable power. The blood essence of the divine dragon of the Dragon King level was instantly activated, transforming the Heaven Wasteland Protector's Chonghuang City into a lightning dragon hundreds of meters long. His pair of divine dragon eyes were filled with destructive nirvana lightning power, as he looked at Kong Shinmu as if he was looking at an ant. To him, Kong Shinmu was an opportunity for him to make a contribution. As long as this matter was resolved, he would have a higher status in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, and might even be promoted to become the head guard of the Eternal Wasteland Guard. The head guard was much stronger than his current position as a junior head guard, and had much more power. Everything depended on whether this major matter could be resolved perfectly. Die! A dark blue lightning burst out from his divine dragon eyes, charging towards Kong Shinmu. Be careful. Shi Yueying and the other two girls retreated worriedly. They did not want to be a burden to Kong Shinmu, so they had to get out of the way. But looking at the terrifying aura of the Eternal Wasteland Guard, they were worried that Kong Shinmu would lose. In any case, now that the Flame Dragon Envoy had not arrived, if he really could not win, Kong Shinmu would most likely be at a disadvantage. However, Kong Shinmu was not the slightest bit afraid. In his eyes, the pitch-black Nirvana devouring force suddenly spread out, and the giant pitch-black divine dragon body once again appeared in the field, blocking in front of the Thunder Divine Dragon. Nirvana force. Kong Shinmu instantly erupted with Nirvana force, and the pitch-black force blocked in front of the opponent's dark blue lightning. The lightning was actually swallowed by the pitch-black Nirvana devouring force in an instant, as if it was buried in the void. Oh, not bad. The Thunder Divine Dragon's voice seemed to come from the ancient times, and a burst of terrifying lightning burst out from his pair of blue Thunder Divine Dragon eyes. This burst of thunderlight was actually several times more tyrannical than the thunderbolt light from before. This was the true use of the Dragon Martial Skill. Second-grade Dragon Martial Skill, Heavenly Thunder Eyes. The terrifying pupils burst out with the divine light of thunder, like a heavenly tribulation, sweeping towards Kong Shinmu. This move seemed as though it was going to destroy the entire Demon Hunters Association's main hall. The incomparably terrifying destructive power simply shocked everyone in the surroundings. Even some of the older generation of dragon martial artists were extremely shocked. Although the cultivation of the older generation of dragon warriors was high, Very few of them had inherited blood essence at the level of the Dragon King. Therefore, they also rarely saw a dragon martial artist of this level fight. At this very moment, the Demon Hunters Association's main hall exploded with fatal lightning. Furthermore, it condensed into a beam, and the God-Eye lightning fell towards Kong Shin-mu. Everyone was sweating in their hearts, thinking that this kid was probably going to suffer. This second-grade dragon martial skill that was used to protect Chonghuang City had been cultivated to the highest level, completely reaching an extremely terrifying level, enough to crush opponents of the same level. Not to mention, Kong Shin-mu's cultivation was 2 levels lower than his. The thunder light bloomed, illuminating Kong Shin-mu's entire black dragon body. And unlike everyone else, he really did not care much about his opponent's attack. Dragon Martial God Shield. Kong Shin-mu quickly activated the second-grade dragon martial skill, and this dragon martial skill had been cultivated to an extremely tyrannical level. It could even be described as a secret manual of the dragon martial skill. Second-grade dragon martial skill against a second-grade dragon martial skill. In the next moment, endless pitch-black devouring nirvana force formed a thick pitch-black shield wall in front of him, directly blocking the light of his opponent's thunder eyes. At this moment, the entire Demon Hunters Association's main hall trembled, and almost many people could not stand steadily. The strength of both sides was too strong, to the extent that they could not withstand it. Most of the people in the field, when faced with the impact of these two forces, would almost certainly die. After a long time, the trembling stopped, and the situation in the field almost made them dumbfounded. Kong Shin-mu, not a bit. After the pitch-black shield wall spread out, it actually completely blocked Chonghuang City's attack, causing him to be unable to move any further. The light of thunder all exploded on the pitch-black shield wall, but was unable to destroy it at all. I just said to let you wait for a while. When Senior Yen Dragon Envoy is here, there will naturally be a conclusion. Kong Shin-mu's eyes emitted calmness. If you stop now, I will let you go. You are courting death. The guards of Chonghuang City were instantly enraged. In fact, what Kong Shin-mu said was for his own good. He also did not want to kill an outstanding genius of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. After all, he was also from the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. But to the guards of Chonghuang City, these words were a clear contempt for him, an insult to his strength. If he stopped now, he would let him go? As if his Chonghuang City would lose to this kid. Almost without any hesitation, Chonghuang City's body erupted with lightning, and a dragon-level dragon weapon surrounded by lightning was released almost instantly. The dragon-ranked dragon weapon was his greatest trump card. In fact, he had more than one dragon-ranked dragon weapon. Immediately after, 3 dragon-level dragon weapons appeared one after another, surrounding his Thunder Divine dragon body. These 3 dragon-level dragon weapons had been with him for a long time, and were connected to his mind. Although they had not reached the level of unity, they could already burst out extremely terrifying power. Among these 3 dragon-level dragon weapons, one was a thunderball, another was a thunder trident, and the last was a thunder-long saber. When the power of thunder lit up the whole place, the 3 dragon-level dragon weapons instantly burst out with extremely terrifying power, and even merged together, shooting towards Kong Shin-mu. Without any words, Chonghuang City intended to use his strength to defend his dignity. He wanted to kill Kong Shin-mu, and he must kill him until not a single piece of him was left. But unfortunately, Kong Shin-mu had a clearer understanding of the strength of both sides. When the 3 dragon-level dragon weapons with lightning attributes burst out, Kong Shin-mu had no fear at all. He finally used the first-grade dragon martial technique, which was also the origin source dragon martial technique. Virtual Dragon. Sky-shattering. In an instant, countless divine dragon shadows gathered around the hall of the Demon Hunters Union, and the endless pitch-black eyes of the divine dragon contained endless devouring power of nirvana. At this moment, a destructive black flame burst out towards the 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons. Endless power instantly bloomed in the whole Demon Hunters Union. The pitch-black devouring power almost covered everyone's vision, and no one knew what was happening. Chapter 4179. No one had imagined that such a scene would appear in front of them. In the hall of the Demon Hunters Association, the 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons that were sent out by the guards of Chonghuang City were all destroyed at this moment. They were sent flying in all directions, and the sound of breaking could be heard continuously. The 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons actually started to shatter just like that. Although it wasn't completely destroyed, it was still directly destroyed. It was simply unbelievable. One should know that dragon-grade dragon weapons were already one of the strongest dragon weapons. It was impossible for an ordinary person to obtain a stronger heaven-grade dragon weapon. However, the 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons actually shattered under Kong Shinmu's Shadow Dragon Shattering Dragon. This situation surprised even Kong Shinmu himself. After all, he had never destroyed a dragon-grade dragon weapon before. But now, he realized that using Nirvana Force to perform the Source Dragon martial skill seemed to be much more powerful than usual. Most importantly, of course, it was his Nirvana Devouring Force. It was precisely because of the Nirvana Devouring Force that he devoured some of the power in the 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons, as well as many structural parts, causing them to finally shatter. Of course, it was not completely shattered, but it was impossible to restore them in a short period of time. In other words, the strength of Chonghuang City's guards had been greatly weakened. How is this possible? Guard Chonghuang City was stunned on the spot. His huge divine thunder dragon eyes were filled with disbelief as if he had seen a ghost. These 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons were powerful dragon weapons that had accompanied him until now. They contained unimaginable power. Even a super expert in the rebirth realm might not be able to shatter a dragon-grade dragon weapon. But now... Brother! Big brother! Hongji and Lu Yueji exclaimed. They felt that the situation in the hall was incomparably unbelievable. The 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons that their big brother was so proud of were shattered in an instant? The countless divine black dragon shadows just now actually exploded with endless terrifying black flame shockwaves. What kind of dragon martial skill was that? Shadow Dragon Shattering Dragon. This is a first-grade dragon martial skill. At this moment, the vice president of the Demon Hunters Association, who had been watching from the side, had an extremely solemn expression as he stared at Kong Shinmu, wanting to see what kind of person he was. Unfortunately, he had never met Kong Shinmu before. Those who were qualified to cultivate a grade 1 dragon martial technique were definitely the most powerful beings in the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. However, he had never heard of such a young man. He even felt that this brat might have come from another dragon emperor's country. At this moment, the expressions of all the dragon warriors became extremely solemn. It seemed that the Chonghuang city guards had fallen into a disadvantageous position. That terrifying black dragon actually possessed such terrifying and unbelievable power. He had actually cultivated a grade 1 dragon martial technique. Furthermore, he had cultivated it to such a high level that he could shatter a dragon-grade dragon weapon. This was simply unbelievable. Of course, most of the people in the crowd were secretly delighted. For them, they were originally standing on Kong Shinmu's side. They felt that it was satisfying for him to kill Director Ma, and did not want to see him die so quickly. Now, if he could kill a Heaven Wasteland guard to protect Chonghuang City, it would be even more satisfying. This Chonghuang City guard relied on the fact that he was the son of the Dragon City Lord of Eternal Wasteland City. Usually, he swaggered around and bullied the weak. Many people had been arrested in the name of Eternal Wasteland City Guard, and were punished with a lot of things, all of which were kept in his pocket. Unfortunately, his father's identity made everyone angry but not dare to say anything. Even when he was in the city, they did not dare to mention a word. Only when they left the Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland to carry out the demon hunting mission would they slightly discuss and complain about the excesses of the Barren City. Therefore, seeing that the 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons of the Barren City had been smashed, many people felt extremely satisfied. These 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons. How much of the people's wealth had they been plundered to gather them? There were even many people who had softly shouted out, cheering Kong Shinmu on. How is it? Kong Shinmu calmly stood in the middle of the field, as if nothing had happened, and looked at the Thunder Divine Dragon body in front of him. For him, it was a little surprising that 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons had been smashed, but it would not make him ponder for too long. The most important thing now was that since the Chonghuang City Guard of Eternal Wasteland City wanted to continue fighting, then he would accompany them to the end. A grade 1 dragon martial skill was far from being a trump card for Kong Shinmu. The most terrifying thing about him was the power of devouring. You! Go to hell! The Chonghuang City Guard could not bear the fact that his 3 dragon-grade dragon weapons had been smashed at such a time. But this did not mean that he would completely admit defeat. A terrifying thunderbolt completely burst out from the surface of his divine dragon body. Purple lightning, brazenly exploding, almost spread throughout the entire Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. At this moment, there were already more and more dragon martial artists gathering at the headquarters of the Demon Hunters Association, and in the process of communicating with each other, they understood the truth of the situation. Everyone was incomparably shocked. Someone actually dared to fight with the Chonghuang City Guard of Eternal Wasteland City in the midst of the Demon Hunters Association of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland? They were shocked, unable to imagine. Although there were many people who joined the ranks of Kong Shinmu, but in fact, they were not optimistic about Kong Shinmu's fate. After all, this was Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. Once the big shots of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland made a move, this kid would definitely die without a burial place. For a moment, the fierce battle between Kong Shinmu and Baron City had attracted everyone's attention, affecting everyone's hearts. It was very likely that this would be the moment that the history of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland would be rewritten. It was also at this time that the City Lord of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland arrived. It was a man with a big belly. Although he had the blood essence of the divine dragon of the Dragon King level, but recently, he had not transformed into a dragon to fight for a long time, and had basically been eating, drinking and having fun. At this moment, he brought many officials from the City Lord's mansion of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. Seeing the situation in the Demon Hunters Association, he could not help but snort coldly. How dare you cause trouble in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland? You don't want to live. Baron City, kill him on the spot for me, don't make any mistakes. Be straightforward. His words stimulated the will of the god of Eternal Wasteland City. Baron City stared at Kong Shinmu, the two divine dragons in the Demon Hunters Association. The terrifying battle was about to be punished again. Dragon Martial Skill, Pulse Shocking Thunder. Chapter 4180. Second Grade Dragon Martial Technique. Thunderclap Pulse Suppression. It used the nirvana force of the lightning to suppress the special meridians in one's body, thus isolating one's senses from the outside world. As a result, the nirvana force of the desolated city would more than double. No one could have imagined that the desolated city would resort to such a method. One should know that such a trump card, the ultimate skill, was usually used when one was facing death. Now, he was forced into such a situation by a mere Kong Shinmu. Thunderclap Pulse Suppression. Kid, you're dead for sure. Hong Ji and Lu Yueji said viciously to Kong Shinmu's dragon body. At the same time, they glanced at Shi Yueying and the other two girls in the crowd. The three of them must kneel down and apologize to us. Of course, even if they do, I won't forgive them. I'll strip them naked and chase them out of Dragon City. Hong Ji had lost her mind. Everything that had happened today was driving her crazy. Therefore, when the time came, she would definitely teach those who dared to oppose her a lesson. She would let everyone know whose territory Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland belonged to. In the field, the aura of the thunderclap dragon of the desolated city continued to rise. The divine glow of the thunderclap illuminated the entire place with a terrifying aura. At that instant, it felt like his cultivation had increased by 2 levels. Unfortunately, he had no idea. Kong Shinmu's emotions had not fluctuated at all. The previous few clashes had allowed him to devour the Nirvana force, allowing him to devour the powerful lightning force. This made his dragon body indestructible. At least, the desolated city would not be able to inflict any fatal damage on him before the lightning force. Of course, the opponent's cultivation was higher than his, and he had also activated the second-grade dragon martial technique, Thunderclap Pulse Suppression. At this moment, he could still pose a slight threat to Kong Shinmu. Die, for me! Second-grade dragon martial technique, Explosive Thunderclap. A terrifying lightning force exploded from the pair of dragon claws protecting the desolated city, condensing into a thunderous force that could penetrate the sky. It swept toward Kong Shinmu violently. Martial Dragon Shield. Kong Shinmu once again unleashed his Grade 2 defensive dragon martial skill, and a pitch-black devouring nirvana force condensed into a shield wall in front of him. Unfortunately, this time, the opponent's strength was too overwhelming. The thunderous power came crashing down and instantly bombarded the pitch-black shield wall. The destructive power finally caused cracks to appear on the pitch-black shield wall. In the next second, lightning bolts spread across the place, and finally, Kong Shinmu's martial dragon shield was completely shattered. At this moment, many people cheered. They were the guards of Heaven Wasteland Domain, and they stood on the side of protecting Chonghuang City. However, the people on the other side felt their hearts tighten. That pitch-black shield wall had been shattered. Would this move be able to decide the outcome of the battle? No matter what, it's already very impressive that you managed to destroy the 3 dragon-level weapons guarding Chonghuang City. You've really helped us vent our anger. Many people had this thought in their minds. Seeing the pitch-black dragon martial god shield shattering, they all felt somewhat uncomfortable. They felt that today's farce was about to come to an end, however. Although Kong Shinmu's martial dragon shield had been shattered, he still had another defensive measure, the chaotic dragon body. His pitch-black divine dragon body was almost indestructible against opponents of the same cultivation level. Even if the Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland Dragon City's Eternal Wasteland guards used the Grade 2 dragon martial skill, pulse-suppressing thunderclap, it would still be impossible for them to completely kill Jiang Shenwu's divine dragon body. Again, sky-piercing violent thunderclap. A terrifying power once again burst out from the claws of the thunderclap divine dragon. The power of the thunderclap spread across the entire place. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Shenwu's black dragon body was completely hit by the other party's incomparably powerful dragon martial skill. At this moment, everyone's heart skipped a beat. However, they saw that the pitch-black divine dragon body that Kong Shinmu had transformed into did not show any signs of backing down. Instead, it penetrated through the thunderclap. They could see that the skin on Kong Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body had already been charred by the thunderclap and was emitting black smoke. There was no doubt that Kong Shinmu had been injured by the opponent's attack. On the other hand, although the Heaven Wasteland domain guards of Chonghuang City had been at a disadvantage several times, they had not suffered any damage at all. At most, 3 dragon-level dragon weapons had been destroyed, which could still be repaired afterwards. What should we do? He's injured. Xueqi and the other 2 girls felt their hearts bleeding at the sight of this scene. They did not expect the battle to turn out like this. It's okay. Zhang Liuxue was calm and at ease. She was well aware of Kong Shinmu's abilities. She comforted them. Don't worry about him. This degree of injury is nothing to him. Hearing her words, the 2 women from the Shi clan recalled the situation in Dragon Prison City. During the fierce battle with the other tribes, Kong Shinmu had been on the verge of death several times, but in the end, he had relied on his miraculous power to turn defeat into victory. At that time, Kong Shinmu's injuries were much more serious than now, but he still managed to pull through. Yes, I believe that Brother Shenwu will be able to defeat his opponent this time. Shi Yutong looked nervous, but she had absolute trust in Kong Shinmu. Boom! The next moment, a terrifying power erupted in the field. The thunderclap bombarded Kong Shinmu's black dragon body, but at this time, Kong Shinmu had finally caught hold of his opponent's thunderclap divine dragon body. Devouring power, devour! An earth-shattering roar came from the black dragon's mouth, and then, the pitch-black devouring power suddenly shrouded the thunderclap divine dragon body that was guarding Chonghuang City. Void Dragon. Sky-lifting smash. Kong Shinmu once again displayed his first-grade dragon martial technique, and this time, he attacked the 2 indiscriminately. This scene simply caused everyone in the surroundings to be extremely shocked. Before they could react, the power of the Void Dragon sky-lifting smash exploded from the surrounding Void Dragon shadows and bombarded Kong Shinmu and Huang City. Of course, Kong Shinmu did not take much of the attack, but Huang City's thunderclap divine dragon body took most of the attack. Thunderclap barrier. Huang City used a second-grade defensive dragon martial technique at the critical moment, but this dragon martial technique could not withstand Kong Shinmu's dragon source martial technique. Chapter 4181. Everyone in Dragon City of Heavenly Wasteland opened their eyes wide as they watched the shocking scene unfold before them. Kong Shinmu's dragon martial skill attacked him and Desolation City indiscriminately, and broke through Desolation City's thunder barrier in an instant. A Grade 2 dragon martial skill was already an extremely tyrannical defensive dragon martial skill for many ordinary dragon martial artists. To them it was almost indestructible. But under the attack of Kong Shinmu's Void Dragon Roaring Skybreak, it could not resist at all, and was directly smashed into pieces. Then, the Void Dragon Roaring Skybreak and the Black Flame Dragon Cannon's light beam hit the Thunder Divine Dragon's body head-on. Although the destructive power could not directly kill Desolation City of Eternal Wasteland City, it blasted several bloody holes on his divine dragon body. These bloody holes were Kong Shinmu's biggest breakthrough point. The pitch-black devouring nirvana force directly eroded into the other's body through the bloody holes. Go to hell! Violent thunder piercing the sky. Desolation City felt the pain all over his body, and he almost fainted from the pain. He frantically released all the thunder nirvana force in his body, and poured it down on Kong Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body. Such a tragic situation simply made it hard for the surrounding people to believe. It was too tragic. This kind of fighting style of either you die or I live was the most shocking. Not long after, Kong Shinmu's skin was charred black, and there was even a barbecued smell that spread to the entire Demon Hunters Association Hall, and even the thousands of people who came to watch outside the Demon Hunters Association Hall smelled it. The appearance of this smell also indicated that Kong Shinmu's black dragon body had suffered serious injuries. He's going to die. Many people were shocked, and some were worried, and some sighed in pity. The officials of the Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland City who were watching outside the Demon Hunters Association nodded, and they could tell that Kong Shinmu was about to die. Although this battle is fierce, the Desolation City Guard Captain is stronger. Of course, don't you see whose son he is? The son of the Desolation City Lord is naturally brave and fearless. This little dragon martial artist is not a problem for him. Not bad. It is precisely because of these bloody battles that the captain of the Barren City's guards has such momentum of growth. His future is promising. Around the pot-bellied city lord, many people began to flatter him. The president and vice president of the Demon Hunters Association were also watching the scene calmly, feeling that the situation was about to be settled. Only Shi Yueying and the other two girls were more confident in Kong Shinmu at this time. They could see clearly that although Kong Shinmu was almost at his limit, he was still hanging on to his last breath. He was still a long way from dying. On the other hand, although the injuries of the Thunder Divine Dragon that was guarding Chonghuang City were not as severe, there was no possibility of him recovering. The three women had a better understanding of Kong Shinmu's abilities. He was able to devour his opponent's power and even life force, transforming it into his own. At this moment, the situation had been reversed in this short period of time. Devour. 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 Kong Shinmu's Nirvana devouring power had completely eroded the body of the Thunder Divine Dragon that was guarding Chonghuang City, crazily devouring the thunder power and life force in his body. The thunder power that was devoured could strengthen the resistance of Kong Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body against the thunder power. And the life force that was devoured was constantly healing his serious injuries. His injuries were recovering under the amazing effect of the Nirvana devouring power. On the other hand, the guard of Chonghuang City was not only seriously injured by the Void Dragon sky-raising break, but his power was also being devoured by Kong Shinmu. This caused his attacks to become weaker and weaker. But Kong Shinmu's defense was getting stronger and stronger. In the end, the speed of Kong Shinmu's recovery was faster than the speed at which the guard injured Kong Shinmu. In this state, the others around him might not be able to notice. But the guard of Chonghuang City was horrified to see this scene, which made him extremely shocked. What on earth was the Nirvana devouring power of this kid? How could he have such a heaven-defying ability? In his heart, the emotion of fear began to appear. Dad! Dad, quick, kill him! At this time, the guard of Chonghuang City felt that he was getting weaker and weaker, as if he was going to die, which made the fear in his heart completely burst out. What? As soon as his words came out, the expressions of the people around him, who thought that the situation was already decided, changed greatly. Dad, do something. If you don't kill him, I will die. The guard of Chonghuang City was crying and roaring. His aura was getting weaker and weaker, and his life force was constantly being devoured. If this went on, there was no way he could survive. Most importantly, his power had been devoured too much, and there was no possibility of escaping from Kong Shinmu. Trash! The big-bellied guard of Chonghuang City was so angry that he almost died. No matter what, he did not expect that at this time, his son would actually ask him to help kill the opponent. Wasn't this a joke? If he took action now, the effect that the guard of Chonghuang City had just created with great difficulty would be gone. Originally, he wanted to help Chonghuang City to a higher level, solve this matter, and make a great contribution. If he took action, what was the use? You take care of it yourself. You are my son, and you can't lose to a wild dragon. The guard of Chonghuang City snorted coldly. These words made the guard of Chonghuang City almost die of anger. He felt that his aura was getting weaker and weaker, and the power in his body was getting weaker and weaker. He felt that his heart was dying. At this time, he could not even roar in anger, and his aura was getting weaker and weaker. On the contrary, Kong Shin-mu, who had been seriously injured, had now absorbed enough life force, and all the injuries on his body were almost healed. Now, if he wanted to protect Chonghuang City, he could do so at any time. However, he was still a little hesitant. After all, the opponent was a relatively powerful genius in the Dragon Emperor dynasty. If he killed him, it seemed that it would be a little unfair to the cultivation of the Dragon Emperor. After all, he could go to Donghuang Yonggu College today because of the opportunity given to him by the Dragon Emperor. Stop! At this time, a vicious and sinister voice suddenly sounded from behind Kong Shin-mu. He glanced around and saw a scene that made him angry. He saw that the three girls, Shi Yueying, Shi Yutong, and Jiang Liuxue, were being controlled by someone. Hong Ji, Lu Yueji, and the other guards of Chonghuang City had taken action at this time to control the three girls, and were going to use them as hostages to threaten Kong Shin-mu. This made Kong Shin-mu's eyes almost pop out of their sockets. Let them go! He roared angrily. If you want us to let them go, you have to let our brother go first, and then kill yourself. Chapter 4182. All right, I'll let him go. Kong Shin-mu's face darkened when he heard the other party's threat. He immediately retreated and returned to his youth form from his black dragon form. In any case, the guard in Chonghuang City was extremely weak and had almost no combat strength left. There was no harm in letting him go. What else? I'll make you kill yourself. Hong Ji's face was sinister as she roared like a madwoman. She definitely could not accept the fact that her wise and mighty brother had been defeated by an unknown outsider. Therefore, she had to make Kong Shin-mu kill himself. She wanted him to die. No! Shi Yueying, Jiang Liuxue, and the other two women were now regretting and blaming themselves. They had actually been a burden to Kong Shin-mu. They cried as they spoke, hoping that Kong Shin-mu would not listen to Hong Ji and kill himself. In their eyes, Kong Shin-mu's life was far more important than theirs. Even if they were to die here today, they could not let Kong Shin-mu die here. However, all right, I'll kill myself. Kong Shin-mu's face darkened. He knew that the current situation was beyond his control. If the other party attacked, Jiang Liuxue and the other two women would have no chance of survival. He was too far away and had no chance of saving them. When he said this, Hong Ji and Lu Yueji's faces finally brightened up. They had smug looks on their faces. Haha, do you see that? In the end, we still have to make a move to deal with that brat. Let's make him kill himself. How easy is that? Seeing this scene, the pot-bellied city lord shook his head from outside the Demon Hunters Association's hall. He could see that his son was on the verge of death and had almost attacked Kong Shin-mu. But at this moment, his two daughters had thought of a way to control Jiang Liuxue and the other two women and use them as hostages to threaten Kong Shin-mu to kill himself. This was undoubtedly a good method. City Lord, they are indeed your daughters. Their ability to remain calm in the face of danger is truly admirable. That's right. If it were me in that situation, I'm afraid I wouldn't have thought of such a method. The people around the City Lord started to flatter him again. They were all smiling, as if this matter had been completely resolved. The City Lord felt a little smug from their praises. He was even happier than praising himself. After all, Hong Ji, Lu Yueji, and Desolate City were all his children. When he became the City Lord of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, it was already very difficult for him to have any future development. However, his children could still surpass him. No matter what, today's matter had come to an end. As long as Kong Shin-mu committed suicide, all the credit would go to Baron City, Hong Ji, and Lu Yueji. But at this moment, go to hell! Suddenly, an old man next to Jiang Liuxue and the other two women roared angrily. In the next instant, the body of a pale ice divine dragon appeared in front of everyone. This old man had been watching from the side. There were too many dragon martial artists like him. Originally, this kind of thing would not have been involved. However, the old man had stepped forward. As soon as he made his move, the entire Demon Hunters Association was covered in dense white snow. A terrifyingly low temperature instantly descended. Hong Ji and Lu Yueji didn't even have time to react before they were frozen into ice. The other Heaven Wasteland guards who were controlling the three girls were also frozen into ice without the slightest ability to resist. Break! A voice full of murderous intent erupted from the Snow Divine Dragon. In the next moment, the four guards, Hong Ji, and Lu Yueji, a total of 6 people, were all frozen into ice. Now, they completely shattered and died on the spot. This scene happened too quickly, and no one present had the time to react. When they saw Hong Ji and Lu Yueji turn into pieces and die on the spot, all of them felt a chill in their hearts. This matter seemed to have blown up even further. Hong Ji and Lu Yueji were the daughters of the city lord, but the old man had turned into a dragon and killed them. The old man possessed the inheritance blood essence of a sacred dragon. Although it wasn't very high, he was already at the rebirth tribulation realm despite his age. Hong Ji and Lu Yueji had no ability to resist his attack. How is this possible? My daughter! At this moment, the pot-bellied city lord, who was outside the Demon Hunters Association, saw the death of his daughter in the hall of the Demon Hunters Association. His eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. His daughter was dead. Killed by the Snow Divine Dragon that the old man had turned into. As for the death of the 4 Heaven Wasteland guards, no one cared at all. After all, their identities were too ordinary. But Hong Ji and Lu Yueji were important figures in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. From now on, a storm would definitely brew on the scene. Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland was about to face a bloodbath. Even Kong Shinmu was stunned on the spot and didn't know what to say. He had never thought that an old man would suddenly stand out and help him out. Come here. Jiang Shenwu hurriedly called out to Jiang Liuxue and the other 2 girls to his side. The 3 women hurriedly ran over, not daring to stay where they were. They looked back, only to see that the Snow Divine Dragon had reverted to the appearance of an old man. Facing the puzzled and shocked expressions of the people around him, his expression was indifferent, as if he didn't feel that he had done anything wrong. Don't look at me in such a surprised manner. The old man nodded at where Kong Shinmu and the 3 women were, then looked around and said, My granddaughter came to Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland to train, but ended up joining Hong Ji and Lu Yueji's team. Not only was she cheated of several demon hunting mission points, she was even raped by Director Ma. My granddaughter died a year ago. I've been lurking in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland for so long, and I've finally investigated everything. Unfortunately, my granddaughter can't come back. After being raped by Director Ma, she chose to commit suicide. Little brother. The old man nodded at Kong Shinmu and was very friendly to him. I can't thank you enough for helping me kill Director Ma. Take this as a token of my gratitude. After this, I might have to die. No, you won't die. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Kong Shinmu suddenly nodded at him solemnly. This made the old man's expression change slightly. Everyone in the Demon Hunters Association had a strange look on their faces. This old man was much stronger than Kong Shinmu, so why did Kong Shinmu say that this old man wouldn't die? As long as the big shots of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland made a move, they would definitely be killed in an instant. Who do you think you are? Just because you say he won't die, he won't die. What a joke. Chapter 4183. The pot-bellied city lord had already arrived outside the Demon Hunters Union Hall. His body exuded an extremely ferocious murderous intent, which was directed at the old man with the Ice Divine Dragon bloodline. Only a father like you can raise such a tyrannical child. The old man glared at him without any fear. Instead, he argued, I killed your daughter, and you want to kill me? What's the difference between this and your daughter harming my granddaughter? Anyway, I've avenged my granddaughter. Even if you kill me, I've lived long enough. The pot-bellied city lord was infuriated by his words. His daughter was dead. He didn't care about the cause and effect of the situation. All he knew was that his daughter had been killed. No, I want you to know that death isn't the scariest thing in this world. The pot-bellied city lord glared at the old man, his face filled with endless viciousness. I've already said that this senior won't die. Kong Shinmu led the 3 women over to where the old man was and said calmly, Moreover, you can't do anything to him. The city lord sneered and looked at Kong Shinmu. You little brat, do you really think that you can be ranked in the Yen Dragon Emperor court with that little bit of strength of yours? To be honest, in my opinion, that little bit of skill of yours is completely worthless. Of course, if you want to be killed by me, I'll fulfill your wish. As for the 3 beautiful sisters beside you, I'll definitely treat them well. As the desolate city lord spoke, he emphasized the words, treat them well. He was the city lord after all, so he couldn't say anything too explicit. However, looking at his lecherous eyes, who wouldn't know what he wanted to do to the 3 women? This made the 3 women so angry that they wanted to die. When the city lord of desolation said this, everyone around him sucked in a breath of cold air. This time, the matter was really big. In their eyes, it was absolutely impossible for Kong Shinmu and the silver-haired old man to survive. In fact, their fates might even be more miserable than death. As for the 3 women by Kong Shinmu's side, they might even suffer inhumane torture. Now, all of you shall die for this city lord. The desolate city lord didn't want to say anything more. With his strength, he could completely crush the silver-haired old man, and he could even crush Kong Shinmu to death with a single finger. After all, he also had the inherited blood essence of the Dragon King, and he was a super powerful dragon warrior who was close to the peak of the rebirth tribulation realm. Otherwise, how could he have become the city lord of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland? Everyone's heart skipped a beat when they heard his words. If the desolate city lord personally took action, no one would be able to resist him, and no one would appear to stop him. Because in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, City Master Huang was the most powerful person. However, everyone had overlooked an existence. That was the Flaming Dragon Envoy. In Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, the Flaming Dragon Envoy was a supreme existence, but normally, the Flaming Dragon Envoy would not step forward to manage things. Everything in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland was managed by the desolate city lord. In everyone's eyes, no matter what happened, the Flaming Dragon Envoy would not appear. But what they didn't know was the identity of Kong Shinmu. Just as the desolate city lord was about to transform into a dragon and kill the silver-haired old man and Kong Shinmu, a faint voice suddenly came from the outside world. Huang Lai, the one who should die is you, right? This faint and cold voice came from the outside. The moment it came, the face of the desolate city lord, who was about to make a move, froze. As for the surrounding people, their expressions changed slightly. In Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, who would dare to say such words to the desolate city lord? Furthermore, he even called him by his name. How dare you? How dare you call the desolate city lord by his name? Behind Huang Lai, a lackey turned around and shouted fiercely towards the outside. But, just as he turned around, his expression instantly changed, becoming extremely interesting. In everyone's eyes, there were 2 figures wearing scarlet robes, descending from the sky, slowly landing outside the Monster Hunters Association Hall. Without a doubt, in the entire Flame Dragon Emperor's court, only one type of person would dare to dress like this. That was the 12 Flaming Dragon Envoys. The 2 Flaming Dragon Envoys stationed in Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland had finally arrived. Their appearance caused all the sounds in the area to disappear, turning it into a dead silence. The face of the lackey of the desolate city lord, who had just spoken, immediately turned pale. What did he just do? He actually shouted at the Flaming Dragon Envoy, saying that he was audacious, calling the desolate city lord by his name. This was simply courting death through and through. Lord Flaming Dragon Envoys, if I didn't know about this, why would I trouble you to come here? The desolate city lord was already panicking, but he still had some mental fortitude, and hurriedly bowed respectfully. This matter is just a small matter, I can handle it. You? Handle? Handle what? The voice of the Flaming Dragon Envoy came out lightly. Under the crimson cloak, they seemed to be observing Kong Shinmu, and nodded to him. This was Kong Shinmu's position in the Flame Dragon Emperor's court. Seeing this scene, everyone in the area was completely shocked. There was an inexplicable feeling of disbelief in their hearts. The 2 Flaming Dragon Envoys actually nodded to that troublemaker? How could this be? What was that kid's identity? This extremely exciting reversal caused countless people in the area to be inexplicably shocked. Especially the few presidents and vice presidents of the Monster Hunters Association. Their faces were not looking too good. After all, Kong Shinmu was causing trouble in their territory. In the end, the Flaming Dragon Envoy appeared, and was in cahoots with that kid. Did this mean that they could not punish this kid? The desolate city lord also saw this scene. His heart secretly turned cold. Who was this kid? He racked his brains, but could not figure it out. Young master, how was your training in Donghuang Yonggu College? Why are you interested in coming back to visit the Flame Dragon Emperor's court? One of the Flaming Dragon envoys calmly walked past the desolate city lord, then walked in front of Kong Shinmu, and asked him with a smile. The voice, it sounded like a female voice, and it was as melodious as the voice of an oriole, very pleasant to the ears. Unfortunately, under the crimson cloak, no one could see her face clearly. I've already arrived at Donghuang Yonggu College, and I've been training for a period of time, so I came back to visit my old friend. Kong Shinmu was quite respectful to the Flaming Dragon envoys, so he bowed and said, Luckily you came back, otherwise we really would not know that this kind of thing would happen in the Monster Hunters Association. The two Flaming Dragon envoys said coldly, looking around, and finally, their eyes focused on the desolate city lord. Huang Lai, regarding this matter, do you want to explain? Chapter 4184. At this moment, Huang Lai's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He had heard the conversation between the Flame Dragon Messenger and Kong Shinmu. How could he not know Kong Shinmu's identity? He was the super genius that was handpicked by the Dragon Emperor to be sent to Donghuang Yonggu College. As the governor of Dragon City of Infinite Wasteland, he naturally knew about this. But he did not expect that the super genius would appear in their Dragon City of Infinite Wasteland? After going to Donghuang Yonggu College, shouldn't he be cultivating in Donghuang Yonggu College? He was a little confused, but there was no doubt that he had kicked an iron plate this time. How could he not know what had happened? His daughter had cheated the other party of Monster Hunter points, and this super genius was the two girls' friend. As a result, there was a conflict. He also knew that his daughter had done this many times. There were even people who complained to him, but he had never paid much attention to it. To him, wasn't it just to get more Monster Hunter points? He was the governor of Dragon City of Infinite Wasteland, and his daughter was the governor's daughter. Wasn't it normal for her to get more Monster Hunter points? But he never expected that such a small matter, which he did not think was a big deal, would lead to such a scene. His two daughters were killed by the silver-haired old man to vent his anger. Most importantly, the Flame Dragon Messenger seemed to have found out about this. This caused Huang Lai to be extremely panicked. Even though he was considered a powerful existence in the Flame Dragon Emperor dynasty, he did not dare to disrespect the Flame Dragon Messenger. One must know that although the Flame Dragon Messenger only had the inherited blood essence of a Dragon King, his strength was the strongest in the entire Flame Dragon Emperor dynasty, apart from the Dragon Emperor Yen. Because they all cultivated the first-grade Dragon Martial skill, the strongest Dragon Martial skill. And their dragon weapons were all Heaven-grade Dragon weapons, the highest-grade Dragon weapons. In every aspect, the Flame Dragon Messenger far surpassed the ordinary Dragon King, not to mention that he had the support of the Flame Dragon Emperor. In other words, the Flame Dragon Messenger could completely represent the opinion of the Flame Dragon Emperor. The corners of Huang Lai's mouth twitched. He didn't know what to say. No matter what, he seemed to be in big trouble today. It's better if you don't say it. Just ask any passerby and you'll know. The Yen Dragon Envoy said indifferently. He randomly picked a few passersby and asked them about the situation. Those passersby were all very excited. After all, this was the Flame Dragon Envoy, a super big shot that they had never come into contact with in their entire lives. Moreover, they could finally make the Fat Pig City Lord step down. They would definitely not let go of this opportunity. For a moment, they actually added oil and vinegar to describe the various bad habits of the City Lord of Ardent Wilderness City, as well as his son and daughter. Some of the things were even non-existent, but they were described clearly and logically as if they were real. This couldn't be blamed on them. It was just that the dragon warriors of Dragon City had been oppressed for too long. Basically, a lot of their income would be inexplicably deducted and embezzled. How could they be happy? It would be best to take advantage of this opportunity to bring down that Fat Pig City Lord. Hearing what they said, Huang Lai was simply angered to death. All of you, don't talk nonsense. Don't spread rumors. When did this city lord force 18 girls to sleep with me? I even killed their families. How could this city lord do such a thing? He had not done such an outrageous thing, but he had indeed forced a girl to sleep with him and killed her family. Therefore, what the passers-by dragon warriors said was the truth. It was just a little exaggerated. In fact, if Huang Lai had not done such a thing himself, Those passers-by dragon warriors would not even think that a person could be so evil. When all of this was said, the two flame dragon envoys laughed coldly. You guys! Huang Lai's face turned completely gloomy. He knew that he was finished. It was very likely that he would be taken away by the flame dragon envoy and brought to the flame dragon emperor's place before being executed. After all, this matter was indeed very serious. He had indeed relied on his position as the city lord of Dragon City to do many things that went against the flame dragon emperor's ideals. If these things were found out, he would definitely be executed. But he did not want to die. All right, come with us. After the flame dragon envoy greeted Kong Shinmu, he did not say much to him. They wanted to leave with Huang Lai. However, at this moment, Kong Shinmu suddenly felt a terrifying lightning power sweeping towards him from behind. Huang City? Kong Shinmu frowned slightly and did not hesitate to transform into a pitch-black dragon. First grade dragon technique, original source dragon technique, shadow dragon sky-raising strike. A terrifying power once again roared in the Demon Hunters Association. As expected, the guards of Long Huang City suddenly attacked Kong Shinmu. If not for Kong Shinmu's fast reaction speed, he might not even have the time to transform into a dragon and would have been completely killed by the opponent's lightning power. Dang! The power of the Shadow Dragon Sky-Raising Strike bombarded the Thunder Divine Dragon. However, at this moment, an even more terrifying power came from behind Kong Shinmu. This power brought with it an endless blazing power that almost melted his divine dragon body into a puddle of blood. That was Huang Lai's attack. Huang Lai, Huang City, the father and son, in the face of such a desperate situation, actually attacked Kong Shinmu. This was obviously to use Kong Shinmu as a hostage to save their own lives. At this moment, even the Flame Dragon Envoy did not expect such a thing to happen. That Huang Lai actually dared to resist in front of them and attack Kong Shinmu, trying to use a hostage to threaten him. Unfortunately, Huang Lai and Huang City had miscalculated. Kong Shinmu turned around and roared angrily. Then, he used the original Source Dragon technique to completely destroy Huang City. Originally, the desolate city was already in a dying state. Now that he was attacked by the original Source Dragon technique, he had no way of defending himself. The divine dragon heart of his Thunder Divine Dragon body was completely blown into pieces by the Black Flame Dragon cannon, and he died instantly. As for Huang Lai, who had attacked Kong Shinmu, his strength was so strong that Kong Shinmu felt like he was going to die in the next moment. However, with the Flame Dragon Envoy around, how could he let Huang Lai have his way? Restrain! The female Flame Dragon Envoy raised her hand and a scarlet silk thread instantly wrapped around the body of Huang Lai that had transformed into a scarlet fire divine dragon body like a scarlet flame. The scarlet silk thread looked inconspicuous, but it contained an extremely terrifying power. In merely an instant, the crimson-red divine dragon that Desolation had transformed into had been tightly bound by the crimson-red threads. After that, the energy of samsara within his body had been completely restrained, and he wasn't even able to release a trace of his energy. Restore! As the female flame dragon envoy hummed softly, the body of the fire divine dragon suddenly returned to Huang Lai's pig-like body. He was restrained by the scarlet silk thread, and his skin was burned to a pulp. Spare me, Lord, spare me. Huang Lai rolled around on the ground in pain. He really did look like a red, fat pig. Now you know how to spare me? Were you trying to threaten us just now? The female flame dragon envoy's voice was cold and almost emotionless. After what had happened, there was no way she would show mercy. Puff! With a soft sound, her scarlet silk thread chopped off Huang Lai's head without any pressure. So powerful. Everyone in the surroundings was indescribably shocked when they saw this scene, and this included Jiang Shenwu. Chapter 4185. The Lord of Wildfire City was dead. Kong Shinmu was somewhat shocked by his death, because the Flame Dragon Envoy had only used a thread to easily kill the Reincarnation Realm expert, Wildfire, who had inherited the essence and blood of the Dragon King. Furthermore, the scarlet thread could even entangle the body of the Divine Dragon, causing it to revert back to its human form, preventing it from transforming into a dragon. This was the most terrifying part. This was the method that the Flame Dragon Envoy used to intimidate everyone. But in fact, they rarely made a move. Even Wildfire was unclear of the Flame Dragon Envoy's methods, which was why he dared to attack Kong Shinmu in an attempt to kidnap him and escape. Unfortunately, this action not only caused the death of Wildfire, but even his son, who could have survived, died on the spot. The main figure of their family was completely dead. The position of the Lord of Dragon City of Infinite Wasteland City will be removed in the future. After the Flame Dragon Envoy announced this, he seemed to have something urgent to do, and turned to leave the Demon Hunters Association. Before leaving, they even nodded to Kong Shin-mu, telling him to look for them if he needed anything. The matter was over. The entire Demon Hunters Association headquarters in Dragon City of Infinite Wasteland City. After this incident, the entire hall was extremely quiet. Kong Shin-mu once again threw the Divine Dragon's corpse outside the Demon Hunters Association, and then instructed the Heaven Wasteland guards to clean up the corpses on the scene. The matter was over, and Kong Shin-mu's identity as a super genius was also known to everyone. Even the Flame Dragon Envoy treated Kong Shin-mu so respectfully. The others, even if they were the Heaven Wasteland guards, what right did they have to disobey Kong Shin-mu's orders? They immediately obediently began to clean up the corpses. At this point, the demon hunter points of Xueqi and the other two girls were, of course, all returned fairly. But, at this time, Kong Shin-mu was about to bid them farewell. "Where are you going?" Xueqi and Shi Yutong looked a little reluctant to leave. "I don't know. Let's go look for Dragon Emperor Yen. You guys have to be careful from now on." Kong Shin-mu smiled and said to them, "After seeing Dragon Emperor Yen, it's about time for me to leave and return to Donghuang Yonggu College." "Brother Shinwu, will you come back?" Shi Yutong asked sadly. "Definitely." Kong Shin-mu nodded solemnly. Not to mention anything else, as long as he wanted to make a breakthrough, he would definitely return to the Yen Dragon Emperor to make a breakthrough. He absolutely could not allow the black dragon consciousness in his body to devour the power of the Nirvana beast again. Returning to the Yen Dragon Emperor court was the only option for him to break through. "That's good." Kong Shin-mu turned into a dragon and flew toward the peak of the Infinite Wilderness mountain range while the three girls were reluctant to part with him. That place was where Yen Dragon Envoy was stationed. If Kong Shin-mu wanted to know where Yen Dragon Emperor was, he would have to go through them. At the peak of the Infinite Wilderness mountain range, Kong Shin-mu saw the two Yen Dragon Envoys in red robes. "I wonder where Senior Yen Dragon Emperor is now?" Kong Shin-mu asked straightforwardly. "We were called back because of this," the female Yen Dragon Envoy said in a deep voice. "It was said that our Yen Dragon Emperor court was attacked by the other Dragon Emperor kingdoms in the north. We have to hurry over now." "What?" Kong Shin-mu's expression changed slightly. "Then I'll go with you." "No, you have a distinguished identity. If anything happens to you, how can we explain to Yen Dragon Emperor?" The other Yen Dragon Envoy with a hoarse voice shook his head and actually rejected. "It's okay." Kong Shin-mu shook his head and raised his hand to show the symbol on his wrist. "This is the symbol of Donghuang Yonggu College's mentor. As long as I'm in danger, my mentor can rush over at any time." There was one more thing that he didn't say. This opportunity, in Donghuang Yonggu College's 100 years, would only come 3 times. 3 chances to ask for help. But, for the Yen Dragon Emperor court, even if Kong Shin-mu used one of the chances, so what? This was the kingdom that gave birth to him and raised him. If the Yen Dragon Emperor court was in danger, he would definitely come forward. Presumably, Mentor Chu Yueqiang from Donghuang Yonggu College would be able to understand his thoughts. "I see." Seeing the ice symbol on Kong Shin-mu's wrist, the 2 Yen Dragon Envoys finally looked at each other and nodded in surprise. They were just thinking that this sudden invasion would make the Yen Dragon Emperor court unable to resist. Unexpectedly, it just so happened that Kong Shin-mu returned from Donghuang Yonggu College and could even get help from his mentor. The mentor of Donghuang Yonggu College was definitely an extremely terrifying existence. Among the experts with inherited blood of the Dragon Emperor level, he was absolutely invincible. If that mentor were to help, who else could invade the Yen Dragon Emperor court? "Let's go." After Kong Shin-mu finished speaking, he let the Yen Dragon Envoys lead the way. The Yen Dragon Envoys' cultivation was much higher than his, so their speed was naturally faster. Hence, the 2 of them transformed into dragons and carried Kong Shin-mu towards the north. The Yen Dragon Envoys were all existences at the pinnacle of the rebirth tribulation state. It was almost impossible for them to break through to a higher realm. Hence, they possessed the inherited blood of the divine dragon of the Dragon King level. In the entire Yen Dragon Emperor court, there was only one Yen Dragon Emperor who could be their opponent. The two dragons flew across the sky. One day later, they were already nearing the north of the Yen Dragon Emperor court. From afar, on a snowy mountain, the sky was already filled with battle cries. Dragon Ice City, which had been through the flames of war before, was actually being attacked again. It seems like their target is the Sealing Dragon Abyss. Kong Shinmu immediately saw the other party's target. The Northern Chill Dragon Country and the Dragon Emperor Country were attacking the Yen Dragon Emperor Court together, and the Tian Fu Dragon Country was also attacking the Dragon Emperor Court. The overall strength of the Northern Chill Dragon Country and the Tian Fu Dragon Country were almost the same as the Yen Dragon Emperor Court. However, when they joined forces, it was enough to crush the Yen Dragon Emperor Court. Perhaps the Northern Chill Dragon Country realized that they could not occupy the Sealing Dragon Abyss alone, so they could only join forces with the Tian Fu Dragon Country. Of course, the secret of the Sealing Dragon Abyss was also very important to the Northern Chill Dragon Country. They had no choice but to tell the Tian Fu Dragon Country about it. Now, they joined forces with the Tian Fu Dragon Country to attack the Yen Dragon Emperor Court. We must defend this place, Kong Shinmu thought to himself. He was in the sky above Dragon Ice City. The flames of war had not spread to Dragon Ice City yet, but the people in the city were all soldiers. All the wandering dragon martial artists were ready to go out and fight against the invaders. In the snowy mountains in the distance, there were continuous explosions of terrifying power. From time to time, many snowy mountains would have avalanches, and the rumbling sounds were incessant. Let's go and help. Two Yen Dragon envoys rushed over and decisively flew forward. They did not even land on Dragon Ice City to take a look. Chapter 4186. At the top of the snow mountain. The Dragon Emperor of the Northern Frost region and the Dragon Emperor of Tianfu were both here. The Dragon Emperor of the Northern Frost region had turned into an ice dragon. His body was almost 1,000 feet long. He was like a dragon in the sky, standing on the top of the snow mountain. The Dragon Emperor of Tianfu was a Dragon Emperor of the wind element. He was also standing on the top of the snow mountain. The two overlords of the same level as the Dragon Emperor were confronting the Dragon Emperor of the Yen clan. At this moment, the Dragon Emperor of the Yen clan had turned into a fire divine dragon. He was controlling the Dragon Emperor of the Northern Frost region and the Dragon Emperor of Tianfu with his 3,000 fire dragon arms. The three overlords of the same level as the Dragon Emperor of the Yen clan couldn't move at all. Under such circumstances, if any side could bring more experts to the scene, they would have a great advantage. The 12 Yen Dragon envoys of the Yen clan of the Dragon Emperor of the Yen clan had come from different places. 2 of them were stationed near the Dragon Sealing Abyss. At this moment, Kong Shinmu arrived with the 2 Yen Dragon envoys and the Yen Dragon envoys stationed at the Dragon Sealing Abyss. The arrival of the 4 Yen Dragon envoys made their faces change. Now, the Dragon Emperor of the Northern Frost region and the Dragon Emperor of Tianfu were restrained by the Yen Dragon Emperor of the Yen clan with his 3,000 fire dragon arms. If someone attacked them, they wouldn't be able to fight back. Although they had the essence blood of the divine dragons of the same level as the Dragon Emperor of the Yen clan, even a dragon martial artist of the same level as the Dragon King of the Yen clan could injure or even kill them. My apologies, the 2 of you. My people came first. The Dragon Emperor of the Yen clan was pleased to see the 4 Yen Dragon envoys. Ha ha ha. Do you think we have no men? The Ice Divine Dragon, who was also the Dragon Emperor of the Northern Frost region, laughed. Along with his laughter, 2 legions of the Northern Chill Dragon Country arrived. These 2 armies of the Northern Chill Dragon Country were led by 2 super strong dragon generals. Their strength was similar to that of the Flame Dragon envoy. At the same time on the other side, the Dragon Emperor of Tianfu also smiled faintly. She turned out to be a female dragon warrior. Her pair of divine dragon eyes carried a kind of desire for power. Behind her, 2 more legions arrived. They were the dragon martial warriors of the Tian Fu Dragon Nation. 4 armies against 4 flame dragon envoys. Such a balanced strength made the flame dragon envoys' expressions change slightly. They still had other flame dragon envoys who had been held back by other forces. However, it was fortunate that this was the case. Otherwise, the other party would have more people. After all, it was the other party who launched the attack after they were fully prepared, while the Dragon Emperor Yen dynasty was in a hurry and did not have the slightest preparation. Do it! A light voice came from the mouth of the Dragon Emperor of Heaven's sanctum. Then, the 4 legions charged towards them. Attack! Although the 4 flame dragon envoys felt that the strength was uneven, they could only grit their teeth and charge forward. Soon, the 4 of them were engaged in a fierce battle with the 4 generals of the opposing army. The longer they fought, the further away they went. Neither side wanted the battle to affect the safety of the Dragon Emperor. However, after the 4 generals of the opposing army were held back, the other party still had a total of thousands of dragon martial warriors left. These thousands of dragon martial warriors were only average in strength. But when all of them joined forces, they could still pose a threat to the Dragon Emperor Yen. Look at you! What should we do? The Dragon Emperor of the Northern Chill Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Emperor of Tianfu both laughed coldly. The thousands of dragon martial warriors rushed towards the Dragon Emperor Yen. Just as they were about to drown him, a black dragon suddenly appeared in front of the Dragon Emperor Yen. He alone blocked the thousands of dragon martial warriors. Kong Xin Mu. The Dragon Emperor Yen was shocked when he saw it. He did not know why Kong Xin Mu had returned from Donghuang Yonggu College. But what was the use of Kong Xin Mu appearing here now? The other party was thousands of dragon martial warriors. Although the average strength of the dragon martial warriors was not high, each of them had the strength of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Moreover, the strongest one had the inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King level. Among the 4 major armies, there were at least 10 dragon martial warriors. All of them had the inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King level. The other party was an elite dragon martial warrior. Otherwise, they would not have been brought to attack other Dragon Emperor countries. Senior Dragon Emperor Yen, hold on. I'll stop the others. Kong Xin Mu clenched his teeth and transformed into the pitch-black divine dragon. The Nirvana devouring power was finally released. The inheritance blood essence of the heavenly dragon divine dragon was released at this moment. It exploded with a terrifying aura and charged towards the army of thousands of dragon martial warriors. Originally, the 4 major armies of dragon martial warriors did not want to pay attention to Kong Xin Mu. After all, their target was the Dragon Emperor Yen. As long as they harassed the Dragon Emperor Yen, they could easily win this war. However, they soon realized that if they ignored Kong Xin Mu, their casualties would become extremely heavy. In just an instant. Origin Dragon Martial Technique. Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. The terrifying Void Dragon Shadow exploded with 6 black flame dragon cannons. In an instant, 6 dragon martial warriors of the army were killed. Immediately after, Kong Xin Mu's black dragon body flew directly to the front of a dragon martial warrior closest to the Dragon Emperor Yen. He shook the dragon martial warrior with his dragon claws wrapped with the Nirvana devouring power. Devour! The pitch-black Nirvana devouring power directly enveloped the dragon martial warrior's divine dragon body. Moreover, after his body was torn apart, all the power in his body began to be devoured by Kong Xin Mu in an instant. That was the devouring dragon martial technique that he had cultivated. He had used it against Director Ma previously. It was a technique that condensed the Nirvana devouring power into one and erupted in an instant. He now called this dragon martial technique, Dragon Explosion Devouring. With one move, he completely killed the dragon martial warrior who was not very strong. At the same time, he devoured all the power in the other party's body. This made Kong Xin Mu's physical body stronger, and the power that he had consumed was also completely recovered. Immediately after that, the next one. No matter who it was, as long as they were within 1,000 feet of the Dragon Emperor Yen, Kong Xin Mu would rush up and kill them with the Nirvana devouring power. He could almost use the Dragon Explosion devouring power without limit. This was because every time he used it, the power that was consumed would be devoured back from the dead dragon martial warrior. At the same time, the most Kong Xin Mu used was the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break, the Origin Dragon martial technique, because its killing range was very large. Sometimes, with a single move, dozens of dragon martial warriors would be severely injured, unable to get close to the Dragon Emperor Yen at all. This scene simply caused everyone present to feel disbelief. Deal with him first. Very quickly, the dragon martial warriors of the 4 great dragon martial warrior armies all reacted and turned to deal with Kong Xin Mu. Immediately, there were endless dragon martial techniques and all kinds of spiritual chi methods bombarding Kong Xin Mu's body. Unfortunately, it's already too late. Chapter 41-87. If the other party had planned to deal with Kong Shin-mu from the beginning, then Kong Shin-mu would not have been able to hold on. After all, the other party had too many people. He did not have the strength to crush this group of dragon martialists, but now he had held on for some time. This made his chaotic dragon body very resistant to basically all kinds of elemental spiritual energy attacks. When the endless dragon martial technique swept towards Kong Shin-mu, a destructive area was formed in mid-air, completely enveloping Kong Shin-mu's pitch-black divine dragon body. Kong Shin-mu, Yan Dragon Emperor, who was confronting the other two Dragon Emperors, felt touched to death when he saw this scene. Although he was indebted to Kong Shin-mu, he felt that he was not worth Kong Shin-mu sacrificing his life to help him. However, he soon found that he was wrong. Kong Shin-mu did not intend to give up at all. Instead, he was resisting. The black dragon roared and endless nirvana power spread out in all directions. The shadow dragon's sky-piercing strike continued to erupt with terrifying destructive power, shooting out in all directions. Basically, most of the dragon martialists could not withstand Kong Shin-mu's attack. After being bombarded by Su Long's clear sky-piercing strike, their dragon bodies were directly penetrated and they died completely. As for Kong Shin-mu, under the effect of the devouring power, although he had consumed a lot of energy and suffered serious injuries, it was not fatal at all. Many dragon martialists surrounded him and launched attacks at him. Unfortunately, many of those attacks gathered together halfway and exploded. There were not many attacks that could really pose a fatal threat to Kong Shin-mu. Even so, Jiang Xinwu's situation was not good. He was in a situation where he could be killed at any time. He had to be vigilant at all times. Any small mistake could cost him his life. After all, the other party had too many people, and there were even many Dragon King legacy blood essences. These were very threatening to Kong Shin-mu. Therefore, the first people that Kong Shin-mu wanted to deal with were the army commanders. Terrifying power kept erupting in the field. The sound of the dragon's roar could even be heard tens of thousands of miles away. Die! 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 Kong Shin-mu's power continued to pour out. The devouring nirvana force did not show any signs of dissipating. After killing a dragon warrior, he continued to kill the next dragon warrior. Devouring nirvana energy allowed him to devour a lot of spiritual chi and absorb it into Kong Shin-mu's body. In this battle it was incomparably chaotic. At any time, there would be a large number of dragon martial techniques exploding. This made it impossible for Kong Shin-mu to consume the nirvana-devouring energy in his body. On the other hand, his chaotic dragon body and martial dragon divine shield were extremely powerful defensive dragon martial skills. Among the dragon martialists in the army, not many could break through his defense. Soon, he took a great risk and killed all the opponents with Dragon King legacy blood essences. The remaining dragon martialists did not pose much of a threat to Kong Shin-mu. He had already passed the biggest hurdle. Killing intent spread around. Not long after, this place became a place of death. The dragon martialists from the northern Chill Dragon Country and the divine Fuchsia Dragon Country were quickly killed by Kong Shin-mu. All kinds of dragon weapons were broken, and their bodies were bleeding. One by one, they fell down the snowy mountains below. This scene shocked the surrounding dragon martialists. Even the three Dragon Emperor experts in the field were shocked. Dragon Emperor Yen was very surprised. He did not expect that Kong Shin-mu, whom he had sent to Donghuang Yonggu College, had grown to this stage. As for the divine Fuchsia Dragon Emperor and the northern Chill Dragon Emperor, their faces were livid. Their eyes were filled with killing intent for Kong Shin-mu. If they could take action now, they would definitely personally take action and completely kill Jiang Xinwu. Unfortunately, they were held back by Dragon Emperor Yen and could not attack Kong Shin-mu. Ha ha ha! Dragon Emperor Yen laughed. He did not expect that Kong Shin-mu would come to his rescue at the critical moment. As he laughed, he looked in Kong Shin-mu's direction gratefully. At the same time, he was a little worried. But soon, he found that his worry was completely unnecessary. Kong Shin-mu was fighting so many dragon martialists alone and was not injured at all. For Kong Shin-mu, nothing mattered as long as he could not kill him. If he could not be killed, he could devour life force to recover. He could recover from all serious injuries, even his dragon tail that was cut off. This made Kong Shin-mu an invincible existence among the dragon martialists of the same level. As long as it was not a dragon martialist who crushed his strength, he could fight countless of them. No matter how many opponents there were, he could deal with them with ease and finally kill them all. This was the power of devouring Nirvana force. Retreat! Seeing that Kong Shinmu had killed hundreds of dragon martialists in a short period of time, and Kong Shinmu was still unharmed, Dragon Emperor Tianfu immediately ordered. She could not watch her subordinates of Dragon Country be killed by Kong Shinmu in one fell swoop. Other than that, Dragon Emperor Tianfu also gave the same order to retreat. This caused the remaining dragon martialists to quickly retreat without the slightest hesitation. They had been killed by Kong Shinmu. How many of their comrades had been killed by this strange and terrifying black dragon, and when their attacks hit the black dragon, it did not even cause a ripple. Obviously, the strength of both sides was not overwhelming, but they still could not kill Kong Shinmu. Devouring Nirvana force, constantly devouring life force, allowed Kong Shinmu to always maintain his peak state. Seeing that the surrounding dragon martialists had retreated, he finally raised his head and looked at the two Dragon Emperor powerhouses in the distance. If he could interfere with these two Dragon Emperor powerhouses, he might be able to give Yen Dragon Emperor an advantage. However, Kong Shinmu was a little hesitant. After all, the other party was a powerhouse of the Dragon Emperor level. Once they really dealt with him, they would only need one move to kill him. Not only did the other party's Divine Dragon Inheritance Essence Blood surpass him, in terms of cultivation level, he was also an existence that crushed Kong Shinmu. However, I can summon the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon to help. If they really want to attack me, let Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon appear. Kong Shinmu thought about it and decided to take the risk. After all, as long as he subdued the two Dragon Emperor powerhouses, this war could end early. Therefore, he let out a dragon roar and flew toward the two Dragon Emperors. This scene made the three Dragon Emperor powerhouses in the field change their expressions. Kong Shinmu actually wanted to attack the powerhouses of the Dragon Emperor. Also, the Yen Dragon Envoy who was fighting around, and the other powerful inheritors of the Dragon King's essence blood all looked over. Chapter 4188. Kong Shinmu, who had transformed into a pitch-black divine dragon, flew toward the Beihan Dragon Emperor and the Qianfu Dragon Emperor. When the other dragon martialists saw this, they were all shocked. Seeing the black dragon approaching the two dragon emperors, they were all excited. The dragon martial artists wanted to intercept Kong Shinmu. Even if they were no match for Kong Shinmu, they wanted to stop Kong Shinmu from attacking their dragon emperor. Stand down. However, the Beihan Dragon Emperor said coldly, causing the dragon martial artists of the Beihan Dragon Country to stop moving. They would absolutely obey the Dragon Emperor's orders. Qianfu Dragon Emperor, please hold on for a while. I will come back after I kill that kid. The Beihan Dragon Emperor's voice was filled with endless killing intent. The entire Dragon Emperor's divine dragon body was emitting endless cold air. His pair of divine dragon eyes looked in the direction where Kong Shinmu was. His expression was cold, and he did not have any mercy for Kong Shinmu. In his eyes, Kong Shinmu was a kid at the level of the Dragon King. He only needed one move to kill Kong Shinmu. There was no doubt about it. Therefore, he let the Qianfu Dragon Emperor fight the Dragon Emperor alone. Although his retreat might cause the Qianfu Dragon Emperor to be injured, it was better than sacrificing more dragon martial artists and not being able to stop Kong Shinmu in the end. The Beihan Dragon Emperor is going to make a move. Seeing this scene, the Dragon Emperor's eyes were filled with vigilance. He knew that this was an opportunity for him. If he could take advantage of the Beihan Dragon Emperor's attack and seriously injure the Dragon Emperor of Qianfu, or even suppress him, he would be able to gain an advantage. At least, he could stop the other party from attacking the Dragon Emperor for the time being. At the same time, the Dragon Emperor was also worried about Kong Shinmu. If Kong Shinmu really fought the Beihan Dragon Country head-on, he would definitely die. Therefore, the Dragon Emperor had to seriously injure or suppress the Dragon Emperor of Qianfu in a short period of time, and then save Kong Shinmu. Unfortunately, the Dragon Emperor of Qianfu naturally knew the Dragon Emperor's plan. Moreover, when the Dragon Emperor of Qianfu retreated, the Dragon Emperor of Qianfu, he exerted all his strength and displayed the Source Dragon technique. This move completely blocked the fire cloud of the Dragon Emperor's killer move. In fact, it even restrained the Dragon Emperor of Qianfu. Oh no! The Dragon Emperor of Qianfu and the Dragon Emperor of Qianfu had a nervous look in his eyes. He looked at Kong Shinmu with his fiery eyes and roared, "Kong Shinmu, run!" No need. At this time, when all the dragon warriors around felt that Kong Shinmu was about to be killed by the Dragon Emperor of Beihan, he looked extremely calm. He took out a blood-red dragon scale and directly absorbed the devouring power into it. That dragon scale is? The Dragon Emperor of Beihan had already freed up his hands. He planned to kill Kong Shinmu as soon as possible. However, looking at the blood-red dragon scale in Kong Shinmu's hand, he had a bad feeling. This was because he felt a dangerous aura from the blood-red dragon scale. As for the other dragon warriors around, they looked at Kong Shinmu's action and could not understand it at all. What did this kid mean by taking out the blood-red dragon scale? However, before they could react, the Dragon Emperor of Beihan had not used his dragon technique. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the blood-red dragon scale in Kong Shinmu's hand suddenly emitted a burst of space-time energy and formed a space-time door in an instant. Immediately after, a wave of divine dragon demonic chi spread out from the space-time door and instantly spread to the whole area. A blood-red demonic dragon flew out from the space-time door. Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon. The demonic dragon roared and immediately echoed throughout the area. When the blood-red demonic dragon flew out from the space-time door, all the dragon warriors around fell into a state of shock. Even the Dragon Emperor of Beihan, who had originally planned to kill Kong Shinmu, was shocked at this time. How is this possible? The master of the Heaven Awakening Demonic Realm? How could you be related to this kid? The Dragon Emperor of Beihan could not understand at all. Heaven Awakening had appeared. This was the first time he had been summoned by Kong Shinmu after a long time. To be honest, since the last time they parted, he had not been to the Dragon Warrior's territory for a long time. He had always been in the demonic realm. Now that he suddenly appeared, he seemed a little confused. However, as soon as he saw the situation in front of him, he roughly knew what was going on. So it's the war in Chi Dragon. The eyes of the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon showed a somewhat troublesome expression. To be honest, he really did not want to get involved in this kind of war in Chi Dragon. But there was no other way. Since Kong Shinmu had called him out, since he had appeared, he could not just do nothing, right? Anyway, even if he participated in the war in Chi Dragon, just the Beihan Dragon Country and the Qianfu Dragon Country would not attack him. After all, many demons in the demonic realm were gathered together. It was impossible for the dragon warriors to kill their way into the Heaven Awakening Demonic Realm. Even if they opened the space-time door, it was not so easy to open it into the Heaven Awakening Demonic Realm. There was a series of restrictions. Simply put, he could intervene in the war in Chi Dragon, but he did not need to be afraid of the other party's revenge. However, if he went too far, it would cause public anger in the surrounding countries of the Dragon Emperor, and that would be troublesome. He really did not care if they were enemies of the Beihan Dragon Country and the Qianfu Dragon Country. Heaven Awakening, are you really going to intervene in the war in Chi Dragon? The Dragon Emperor of Qianfu's voice was heard, and there was a hint of anger in her crisp and pleasant voice. She stared at the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon while confronting the Dragon Emperor. So what if I intervene? The Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon's huge demonic dragon body wandered in the air, and his voice was like muffled thunder that spread throughout the whole place. This senior is my master. If you want to attack my master, I will not stand idly by. My master? Hearing the way the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon addressed Kong Shinmu, everyone was shocked and in disbelief. They could not believe that a small dragon warrior like Kong Shinmu was the master of the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon. How is this possible? The Dragon Emperor of the Beihan Dragon Country and the Dragon Emperor of Qianfu, as well as the dragon warriors of these two armies of the Dragon Emperor Kingdom, were all extremely shocked, and their faces were full of disbelief. Even the Flame Dragon Emperor looked at Kong Shinmu and the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon in a daze. Not long after, the Flame Dragon Emperor smiled. No matter what, this situation was extremely advantageous to him. Since the other party wanted to invade the Flame Dragon Emperor Kingdom, then he would let the other party taste the anger of the Flame Dragon Emperor Kingdom. Make your move. Kong Shinmu returned to his human form and said coldly to the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon. The strength of the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon and the Beihan Dragon Emperor could be said to be on par. With the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon restraining the Flame Dragon Emperor Kingdom, it would not be easy for the other party to attack, but it would still be difficult to determine the winner. Chapter 4189. For a moment, the Dragon Emperor level experts were fighting in this snowy mountain range. Compared to Dragon Emperor Yen, the strength of the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon was stronger, not weaker, but they were still at the same level. As he fought with the Beihan Dragon Emperor, terrifying spiritual chi exploded everywhere. Vortexes of power appeared one after another, blowing away all the nearby dragon martial artists. Even Kong Shinmu could not withstand such pressure. He had to stay far away to avoid being affected by their battle. Kong Shinmu, come here. At this time, Dragon Emperor Yen and Dragon Emperor Tianfu finally separated and faced each other. They did not make a move, but observed the battle between the Beihan Dragon Emperor and the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon. No matter who the Dragon Emperor Yen or the Dragon Emperor Tianfu wanted to make a move, the other party would stop them, and then it would be 2 against 2. But for Dragon Emperor Yen, he really did not want to join forces with the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon. No matter what, although the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon was originally a dragon martial artist, he now had the bloodline of the demon clan and became a demon dragon. This made Dragon Emperor Yen look down on him. After all, on this continent, the dragon martial artists were the absolute rulers, and they did not think too much of the demon clan. The battle here stopped the fierce battle between the dragon martial artists of the surrounding army, and they all looked over nervously. Once the battle between the Beihan Dragon Emperor and the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon was determined, the result of this battle would be determined. Of course, the battle between the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Emperor would not be so easy to determine the winner. So this battle was likely to last for several days and nights. Just you wait. I don't believe that you have other helpers. At this moment, the Dragon Emperor Tianfu suddenly snorted, and his clear voice spread through the whole area. This made Kong Shinmu frown, and the Dragon Emperor Yan's expression changed slightly. Wait, helpers? This is bad. Dragon Emperor Yan's expression changed drastically. He thought of a possibility, and that was, the other party might not only have 2 Dragon Emperor kingdoms participating in the invasion, there might be more. In this way, if another Dragon Emperor were to join the battle, how could they resist? This time, it was almost impossible for the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty to defend the Dragon Sealing Abyss. And this was also a situation that Kong Shinmu absolutely did not wish to see. After all, every time he wanted to increase his cultivation level, he had to come to the Dragon Sealing Abyss. Therefore, he took a look at the mark on his wrist from Chu Yueqiang. This mark was the mark of a mentor of Donghuang Yonggu College. As long as Kong Shinmu took action, he would have 3 chances to bring Chu Yueqiang over. This mark contained the power of space-time transmission. This was something Kong Shinmu had learned from the manual. If there's really no other way, I can only ask my mentor for help. As for the reason, just say that the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty is my hometown, and I cannot let others invade it. Kong Shinmu thought in his heart. This reason would definitely not be a problem, and no one would doubt it. Moreover, once Chu Yueqiang appeared, she would definitely be the champion, and could crush all the Dragon Emperors. This point, Kong Shinmu was not worried at all. Not long after, Kong Shinmu and the Yen Dragon Emperor, as well as all the other dragon martial artists around, felt 2 incomparably strong auras sweeping over from the distant sky. What appeared in everyone's vision was actually an ice dragon and a fire dragon. 1 ice, 1 fire. These 2 mystical dragons were both dragon martial artists of the same level as the Dragon Emperor. Each of them had an extremely terrifying aura, and the mystical dragon's eyes shone with incomparable brilliance. It's the emperors of the Demon Fire Dragon Country and the Snow Dragon Emperor, the Demon Fire Dragon Emperor and the Snow Dragon Emperor. The Yen Dragon Emperor's face immediately changed. Not only did the opponent have helpers, but they were also 2 Dragon Emperor level super experts. Even with the help of the Heaven Opening Demon Dragon, it was now 2 against 4, and they were simply not a match for the opponent. Looks like we have to give up the Dragon Sealing Abyss. The Yen Dragon Emperor's face darkened, and he was a little nervous. Kong Shinmu shook his head at his side, and said resolutely, "Senior, rest assured, this junior will definitely not let the opponent take away the Dragon Sealing Abyss. This is the territory that belongs to the Yen Dragon Emperor, so no one has the right to invade." "You still have a way?" Kong Shinmu's words made the Yen Dragon Emperor's face full of surprise. Originally, the fact that Kong Shinmu called for the Heaven-Opening Demon Dragon had already shocked him. Now, listening to Kong Shinmu's words, it seemed that even if 2 more Dragon Emperor-level experts came, Kong Shinmu would still have a way to deal with 4 top-notch dragon martial artists. Stop the opponent? And let's see the situation first. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I will not use this method. Kong Shinmu nodded and said solemnly. The Yen Dragon Emperor had a rough idea in his heart. He knew that this method might have some limitations, or there might be some undesirable consequences, so Kong Shinmu would not use it casually. But since Kong Shinmu said that he had a way, then he absolutely believed in Kong Shinmu's method. After all, since he knew Kong Shinmu, as long as Kong Shinmu was confident in something, there had never been any accidents. Soon, the demonic Fire Dragon Emperor and the Xueqi Dragon Emperor flew over from afar. They held their heads high and flew to the side of the Sky Mansion Dragon Emperor. Hee, what's the matter? You can't handle it, and you still need our help? The demonic Fire Dragon Emperor returned to his human form. He was a middle-aged man covered in flames, with an evil look in his eyes. Yes, after conquering the Sealing Dragon Abyss, I will give you more time to occupy it. The Sky Mansion Dragon Emperor said calmly. It seemed that they were dividing the benefits according to the time of occupying the Sealing Dragon Abyss. I'm afraid that just the Sealing Dragon Abyss is not enough, right? The Xueqi Dragon Emperor returned to her white robe, beautiful woman, with a cold expression. She glanced in the direction of the Yen Dragon Emperor and Kong Shinmu, not treating them as living beings. The entire Yen Dragon Emperor's court must be destroyed, otherwise, there will be trouble in the future. It was obvious that she wanted to kill them all. Indeed, they had already occupied the Sealing Dragon Abyss, so they were already enemies with the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. Now that the 4 dragon countries had gathered together and joined hands, it would be very easy to destroy the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. Instead of leaving behind future troubles, it would be better to destroy the Yen Dragon Emperor's court completely. The other party's words made the Yen Dragon Emperor's face stiffen. Destroy the Yen Dragon Emperor's court completely? Xueqi Dragon Emperor, don't you think your words are a bit too much? The Yen Dragon Emperor said coldly. Do you have the right to speak here? The Xueqi Dragon Emperor glanced at him, not putting him in her eyes at all. In the eyes of the Xueqi Dragon Emperor, the current Yen Dragon Emperor's court was like a turtle in a jar, about to be destroyed. Under such circumstances, there was no need for her to pay attention to the Yen Dragon Emperor. All right, then we'll do as you say. The demonic Fire Dragon Emperor and the Sky Mansion Dragon Emperor looked at each other and nodded. At this time, the fierce battle between the Heaven Awakening Demonic Dragon and the Northern Chill Dragon Emperor finally separated. Chapter 4190. Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon returned and flew side by side with Dragon Emperor Yen. No matter what, they were now comrades on the same line. No matter how much they looked down on each other, they still nodded at each other to show their friendliness. And between them was Kong Shinmu. Kong Shinmu returned to his human form and cautiously sized up the 4 Dragon Emperor-level experts who were approaching each other. A terrifying aura spread from him and shrouded the entire area. The dragon martialists of the Fire Dragon Empire and the opposing armies, including the 4 Flame Dragon envoys, all retreated behind their respective dragon monarchs. At this time, the dragon warriors of the Northern Chill Dragon Country and the Sky Dragon Country seemed to have won a great victory. They laughed wildly behind the Dragon Emperor experts, looking at Yen Dragon Emperor Yen and Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon as if they were looking at defeated opponents. In their eyes, the 4 Dragon Emperor experts could definitely crush Yen Dragon Emperor Yen and Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon if they joined forces. 4 against 2. Would they be afraid of losing? In that case, let's do it together, lest the night is fraught with trouble. Demonic Fire Dragon Emperor and Xueqi Dragon Emperor looked at each other and nodded. Then the 4 Dragon Emperor experts looked at Yen Dragon Emperor Yen and Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon. Heaven Awakening, are you really going to get involved? Northern Chill Dragon Emperor snorted at Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon. Just now, he fought with Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon to a draw. Neither side gained any advantage. His goal was to seize the Dragon Sealing Abyss, so he didn't want to cause any trouble. He wanted to persuade Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon to leave. Unfortunately, Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon glanced at Kong Shinmu and saw that he had a card up his sleeve. Naturally, he wouldn't leave. He had already decided that no matter what happened to Kong Shinmu, he would stand firmly by his side. After all, the mysterious Black Dragon's aura had left a deep impression on Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon. He was sure that whoever dared to kill Kong Shinmu would definitely suffer the most terrifying attack from the Black Dragon's consciousness. Of course, he didn't know that Kong Shinmu didn't want to rely on the Black Dragon's consciousness. Instead, he wanted to summon Chu Yueqiang from Donghuang Yonggu College. No matter what, Kong Shinmu wouldn't let them invade Yen Dragon Emperor Empire. I won't leave, even if you beat me to death. The heaven-opening rogue dragon glared at the 4 dragon sovereigns fiercely and swept a glance at them. He had no intention of retreating. The 4 dragon monarchs were displeased by this. This heaven-awakening dragon was by heaven. However, at this moment, Jiang Shenwu suddenly spoke. He looked at the 4 dragon emperor experts and said in a deep voice, "It's still not too late for you to leave now. The Yen Dragon dynasty will never allow anyone to invade us. If you still refuse to come to your senses, you'll have to reconsider whether it's worth throwing your lives away here." Kong Shinmu's words were very clear, and they were heard by everyone present. The 4 Dragon Emperor experts of the Dragon Emperor country, as well as the Dragon Warriors of the 2 armies, were all stunned at first, and then burst into laughter. He had never thought that a mere inheritor of the blood essence of a Dragon King would dare to say such words to 4 Dragon Emperor powerhouses. Did I hear that right? Although that kid is powerful, he's still just the blood essence of the Dragon King. He actually dares to challenge Senior Dragon Emperor? He really doesn't want to live. That's not the funniest part. The funniest part is that he was threatening the Dragon Emperor seniors with his words, right? I can't. I'm laughing so hard that my stomach hurts. Among the Dragon Warriors of the opposing army, many people directly laughed wildly, with mockery, disdain, and contempt. In their eyes, Kong Shinmu was just an inheritor of the blood essence of a Dragon King. How could he be qualified to compete with Senior Dragon Emperor powerhouses? The 4 Dragon Emperor powerhouses felt that Kong Shinmu's words were even more ridiculous, and they did not take him seriously at all. What a joke! If you had the strength, you would have made your move earlier. Why wait until now? The Northern Chill Dragon Emperor was very unhappy with Kong Shinmu. After all, he recognized that the reason why the Dragon Sealing Abyss was taken away by the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty was because of Kong Shinmu, the Black Dragon. However, he did not expect that the little Black Dragon at that time would break through and become a blood essence inheritor of the Dragon King level so quickly. This made the Northern Chill Dragon Emperor unhappy and teased. He completely felt that Kong Shinmu was bluffing. And deep in his eyes, a strong killing intent began to emerge. To him, Kong Shinmu's speed of improvement seemed a bit too terrifying. If he did not do anything, he was afraid that he would be a great threat in the future. Therefore, he wanted to take this opportunity to kill Kong Shinmu. Everyone make your move. The demonic fire dragon emperor said coldly. The demonic fire spiritual chi all over his body finally erupted, and the terrifying aura of the Dragon Emperor level came crashing down. A fierce battle, on the verge of breaking out. They did not intend to pay attention to Kong Shinmu's threat and warning at all. Instead, they planned to directly attack and kill the Yen Dragon Emperor and the Heaven-Awakening Demonic Dragon first. In the meantime, they could also kill Kong Shinmu along the way. Dragon Emperor. The 4 Yen Dragon envoys at this time gritted their teeth and looked at the 4 Dragon Emperor powerhouses. If they had the ability, they would even want to swallow the 4 Dragon Emperor powerhouses alive. To them, the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty was their home. Now, it was invaded by the other party, and the other party not only wanted to occupy the Dragon Sealing Abyss, but also wanted to destroy the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. This is simply unimaginable arrogance. But now, the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty had no way to do anything. It's okay, don't be impulsive. The Yen Dragon Emperor's expression was calm, and his eyes were on Kong Shinmu. Because he knew that if he wanted to survive today, if he wanted to protect the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, he could only rely on Kong Shinmu. Just when the demonic fire dragon emperor made his move, Kong Shinmu finally made up his mind. He knew that if he did not let mentor Chu Yueqiang descend, the other party would not let it go. Since that was the case, let mentor Chu Yueqiang appear. No matter what, Kong Shinmu had decided to protect the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, so he would definitely not back down. As for what mentor Chu Yueqiang would do when she arrived, Kong Shinmu did not care. Anyway, let her come out first. Mentor, I'll leave it to you. Kong Shinmu murmured softly, and finally, He injected the Nirvana devouring power into the mark on his wrist. Northern Chill Dragon Emperor, Sky Mansion Dragon Emperor, Demonic Fire Dragon Emperor, Xueqi Dragon Emperor. The 4 Dragon Emperor powerhouses had already made their moves. The sky was filled with the horrifying Nirvana devouring power, the ice power scattered, and the demonic fire power descended from the sky, covering the sun. Kong Shin Mu, the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, and the Heaven Awakening demonic dragon were surrounded by the destructive power. Right at this moment, a wave of violent energy of ice suddenly erupted, and it emanated from Jiang Shenwu's wrist. It surged violently like a world of ice and snow as it swept towards the surroundings. A crisp dragon roar echoed, accompanied by a world of ice and snow. A divine ice dragon, as beautiful as an iceberg, appeared. Chapter 4191. It was as if the entire world was covered in ice. Just as the 4 Dragon Emperors joined forces to attack, a gust of ice and snow descended from the sky, bringing with it a 500-jong-long frozen divine dragon. That was a celestial dragon that descended to the mortal world like ice. Once it appeared, it stunned everyone. Donghuang Yonggu College. Mentor. Chu Yueqiang. Her appearance caused a gust of ice and snow to float in the air. The ice and snow were extremely pure and cold, shocking everyone present. Mentor. The Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty is this student's homeland. And these 4 Dragon Emperors joined forces to invade the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. This student has no choice but to ask for your help. When Kong Shinmu saw the frozen divine dragon that Chu Yueqiang had transformed into, he was once again shocked. Although this mentor was only at the Dragon Emperor realm, she might not be far from the legendary Super Divine Dragon realm. Her terrifying aura was enough to suppress everyone present. When she heard Kong Shinmu's words, she did not have much of a reaction. She only glanced at the 4 Dragon Emperors. This glance was cold and emotionless, causing the hearts of the 4 Dragon Emperors to turn cold. They had never thought that an existence of this level would appear. Just from the aura alone, they could feel that they were no match for this frozen divine dragon even if they joined forces. When they heard Kong Shinmu's words, their expressions changed. Student? Mentor? Could this frozen divine dragon before them be? The 4 Dragon Emperors were all shocked. The mentor of Donghuang Yonggu College? This kid is actually a disciple of Donghuang Yonggu College? They could not believe it. After all, the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty was a Dragon Emperor kingdom that was similar to them, and the 4 dynasties did not have a disciple from Donghuang Yonggu College at all. Unexpectedly, the Flame Dragon dynasty had produced one without them even knowing about it. They were just about to open their mouths to confirm it when waves of terrifying ice rumbled and erupted, and it was like cold energy had descended from the 9 heavens. Chu Yueqiang was too lazy to say anything. Since her student, Kong Shinmu, had asked for help, and she was already here, she naturally would not leave so easily. Cold energy descended, turning into 9 ice lotuses, drawing upon the mysteries of heaven and earth, even drawing out countless void lines from the void. The 9 ice lotuses emanated the energy of ice that caused others to tremble, and they were fused with the energy of the lines in space as they enveloped the 4 Dragon Emperors. After that, the ice lotuses moved with boundless speed to the point no one in the surroundings could see them clearly. Immediately after, the divine dragon bodies of the 4 Dragon Emperors flew out almost at the same time. The divine dragon bloodline in their bodies bloomed as they crashed into the ice mountain. With just one move, the 4 Dragon Emperors were defeated and heavily injured. I am not interested in the disputes between the countries of the Dragon Emperor. After one move, Chu Yueqiang returned to her human form. There was a touch of coldness on her beautiful fairy-like face. She looked at Kong Shinmu and said, "However, if I don't care about them, even if you can't defeat them, you will still stop them." Mentor is right. Kong Shinmu touched his head and said a little embarrassedly. He was extremely shocked by the strength that Chu Yueqiang had displayed. Although it was shocking, it was normal when he thought about it carefully. If Chu Yueqiang, the mentor of Donghuang Yonggu College, did not have the strength to crush the ordinary Dragon Emperor, why would the Yen Dragon Emperor send him to Donghuang Yonggu College? The mentors of Donghuang Yonggu College were all amazing talents. Their goal was to cultivate a super expert of the super divine dragon level. Not only did they have a pure divine dragon bloodline, but the level of their bloodline was also far beyond that of ordinary Dragon Emperor experts. Although they were all Dragon Emperor level blood essence, They had absorbed the energy of the dragon mark in Donghuang Yonggu College. Naturally, they were not comparable to ordinary Dragon Emperor experts. Moreover, in Donghuang Yonggu College, dragon warriors could learn many origin-source dragon martial techniques. In an ordinary Dragon Emperor kingdom like the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, the origin-source dragon martial technique was already a top-notch dragon martial technique. But in Donghuang Yonggu College, there were not only low-level origin-source dragon martial techniques, but also higher-level origin-source dragon martial techniques. For example, the void ice lotus that Xueqi had displayed just now had a kind of inherited ancient aura. When it was activated, the void ice chi spread around, condensing into lines that were enough to suppress the whole scene. This was definitely not an ordinary origin-source dragon martial technique. It was not that Kong Xinmu had never learned the origin-source dragon martial technique. Void Dragon Sky Raising Break was an origin-source dragon martial technique, and it was quite powerful. However, if one were to compare the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break to the Void Ice Lotus, there was no way they could be compared. "I'm leaving." Xueqi glanced at Kong Xinmu, then at the 4 Dragon Emperors. "The 4 of them were seriously injured by me. If they transform into dragons in 3 months, their cultivation and blood essence will continue to flow. In these 3 months, they definitely won't dare to come again. As for after 3 months, call me every time they come. I want to see how they are going to attack my students." Her words were completely helping Kong Xinmu, warning the 4 Dragon Emperors. "Thank you, tutor." Kong Xinmu was extremely grateful to Xueqi. If not for her, the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty would have met with a huge accident, and it might even have been completely destroyed. After all, the 4 Dragon Emperors already had such thoughts. Then, as Xueqi finished her words, her ethereal fairy-like figure suddenly disappeared from the scene. No one knew how she left. But Kong Xinmu knew that Donghuang Yonggu College had many tricks up their sleeves. For example, the East Emperor Formation. He had returned from the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty through the East Emperor Formation. Xueqi did not seem to have come through the East Emperor Formation. But the power of Donghuang Yonggu College was incredible, and it was definitely not difficult for them to travel through space. After Xueqi left, the scene was silent. The 4 Dragon Emperors were all heavily injured. The power of the Void Ice Lotus was wreaking havoc in their bodies, and it would disappear in 3 months. But in these 3 months, once they turned into divine dragons, their blood essence and cultivation base would be eroded. This caused them to maintain their human forms, and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. The 4 Dragon Emperor of Heavenly Mansion, Demonic Fire Dragon Emperor, and Xueqi Dragon Emperor looked at Kong Xinmu in fear. They never thought that they would provoke a student of Donghuang Yonggu College today. Although the dragon sealing abyss was very important to them, and they wanted to occupy it, but compared to that, their lives were more important. Xueqi's threat just now made them not dare to have any evil intentions towards the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. "Go, go." Beihan Dragon Emperor was the first to wave his hand. He was a middle-aged man in a white robe. He turned around and left with a gloomy face. He was very dissatisfied with the result, but what could he do? Chapter 4192. Now, not only would the 4 Dragon Emperor kingdoms not have the idea of invading the Yen Dragon Emperor kingdom, they had to keep this information a secret. They even had to keep this information a secret. Otherwise, the dragon sovereigns or other demon sovereigns that they had offended in the past would definitely not let go of this opportunity to take advantage of them. Once others knew that they could not transform into dragons for 3 months, they would probably face a severe test of life and death. Therefore, what they were most concerned about now was their own lives. No matter how good the dragon sealing abyss was, what was the use if they could not enjoy it with their lives? Moreover, this place had a limited effect on every dragon martial artist. The most important function was to improve the overall strength of a large dragon country. For them, the effect was not particularly obvious. However, after continuously occupying the dragon sealing abyss, the overall strength of the Yen Dragon Emperor Kingdom would soon increase until stronger martial artists emerged one after another. Watching the 4 Dragon Emperors flee in panic, the Yen Dragon Emperor Kingdom and the Yen Dragon Envoys all heaved a sigh of relief. Today's crisis could almost be said to have been solved by Kong Xinmu alone. First he called the heaven-opening Devil Dragon, and then he called Xueqi, the mentor of Donghuang Yonggu College. If Kong Xinmu was not here, There might not have been any big trouble today. Since there is nothing else, I will leave first. The heaven-opening devil dragon took a deep look at Kong Shin Mu, then turned into a demon dragon and flew away. He was very clear about the existence of the black dragon's consciousness in Kong Shin Mu, so he also knew that this black dragon's consciousness was even more terrifying than that of Donghuang Yonggu College. But he would not say this out loud. No matter who it was impossible to get this secret out of him. Jiang Shenwu glanced at him and thought of the ability he had recently discovered. His heart skipped a beat. The dragon mark energy can be transferred to other dragon martial artists through the power of devouring. Then, can the heaven-opening devil dragon also accept the transfer? Kong Shinmu thought. But he could not carry out the experiment now, and even if he could, he would not easily make the heaven-opening devil dragon stronger. After all, this guy wasn't completely under Kong Shinmu's control. Moreover, he also knew the secret of Kong Shinmu possessing the consciousness of a black dragon. Thank you, Kong Shinmu, for today. Dragon Emperor Yen and the other Yen dragon envoys hurriedly came forward to welcome them. Seeing them being so polite, Kong Shinmu was not used to it. Senior Yen Dragon Emperor, Senior Yen Dragon Envoy, please don't say thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here today. No matter what, I will not sit by and watch as the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty is violated. Haha, I wasn't wrong about you. Dragon Emperor Yen laughed heartily and patted Kong Shinmu's shoulder. Let's go back and have a good rest. Everyone left the iceberg area and returned to Dragon Ice City. The current Dragon Ice City was more prosperous than before. Because the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty had the Dragon Sealing Abyss, many Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty's dragon martial artists rushed to Dragon Ice City after the news spread. They wanted to use the dragon energy of the Dragon Sealing Abyss to improve themselves. For ordinary dragon martial artists, the improvement of the Dragon Sealing Abyss was extremely important to them. It was equivalent to several years or even decades of hard work. Therefore, many family dragon martial artists, wandering dragon martial artists, and the like all gathered in Dragon Ice City. Because there were too many people, most of the dragon martial artists could only wait in line in Dragon Ice City. This also made the entire Dragon Ice City seem a little crowded. Kong Shinmu rested in Dragon Ice City. At night, he celebrated with the Yen Dragon Emperor and the others and returned quickly. To him, this was just the beginning. This was his first time coming back and trying to improve his Nirvana Tribulation Realm cultivation near the Dragon Sealing Abyss. The Black Dragon's consciousness gave him the ability to devour, but it had a very mysterious origin. Kong Shinmu did not dare to rely too much on and trust the Black Dragon's consciousness. Therefore, it was safer for him to stay near the Dragon Sealing Abyss. I must not let this Black Dragon's consciousness devour any Nirvana Tribulation power. Kong Shinmu made up his mind. But this time, he had done what he needed to do. He even discovered that he could transfer the Dragon Mark's energy to others through devouring. This was a very important discovery for him. As long as the Dragon Mark's energy was enough, he could raise the divine dragon blood essence of many of his friends to a higher level. For example, helping Shi Yutong raise the divine dragon blood essence to the heavenly dragon level was a huge improvement for her. If it was not for Kong Shinmu's help, she would not be unable to reach the heavenly dragon level in her lifetime. It was just that she did not know how long it would take. Perhaps by the time she reached the heavenly dragon level, she would already be married and have children. After all, it was an extremely long process. In the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty, there were too few resources. Even if there were treasures that could raise the divine dragon blood essence, at the level of the holy dragon Shi Tao, it would be difficult for him to prepare too much for his daughter. After all, he also needed to break through to the Dragon King level. If Shi Yutong wanted to improve, she could only rely on herself. But now, with Kong Shinmu's ability to devour and transfer, his friends around him might be able to improve one by one. He thought of the Yen Dragon Messenger who had taken care of him many times. Now, his potential was unlimited, but in reality, his strength was not particularly strong. If not for the Yen Dragon Messenger's help, there were many things he could not do in the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. Perhaps, I can help them break through to the Dragon Emperor level? But now, even I have not reached the Dragon Emperor level. If I help them to reach the Dragon Emperor level, I don't know how much Dragon Mark energy will be needed. Moreover, the fewer people who know about this ability, the better. Instead of transferring it to the Yen Dragon Messenger, it would be better to transfer it to the Yen Dragon Emperor. As long as the Yen Dragon Emperor's strength can improve, the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty can be guaranteed. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. Of course, he did not have much Dragon Mark energy now. This time, it was impossible to transfer the Dragon Mark energy to the Yen Dragon Emperor. He rested in Dragon Eye City for 2 days, then quickly rushed to the Sealed Dragon Abyss. This place had now become a hot spot in the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. Dragon warriors were flying everywhere, gathering around the city built in the Sealed Dragon Abyss. That small ice city was built later, specially for the dragon warriors who came to the Sealed Dragon Abyss, so that the Dragon Ice City would not be too crowded. When the queue was almost full, they could come to this small ice city and live for a period of time. Counting up, the dragon warriors who had been upgraded by the Sealed Dragon Abyss in the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty were already innumerable. Chapter 4193. Kong Shinmu quickly returned to Donghuang Yongwu College through the spatial energy of the East Emperor formation. During his return to the Dragon Emperor dynasty, he successfully broke through to the second level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. He also met many of his old friends and helped them. He even resolved the crisis that the Dragon Emperor dynasty faced. Next, it was time for him to improve himself. Since he arrived at Donghuang Yongwu College, he had successfully upgraded to the Dragon King level of the Divine Dragon's Essence Blood. It would take at least 3 more years for him to reach the Dragon Emperor level. During this period, the most important thing for him was to improve his cultivation base. When the improvement of the Essence Blood level was slow, he could quickly improve his strength by improving his cultivation base. There was no special shortcut for a dragon martial artist to improve their cultivation base. The only way was to absorb some treasures of heaven and earth to save time and speed up their cultivation. For example, the Qiqian spirit herb that Kong Shinmu had consumed before. In Donghuang Yongwu College, as long as one had enough points, one could exchange for enough treasures of heaven and earth. Almost all the resources in the continent were gathered in the Dragon Martial College. For Kong Shinmu, if he wanted to improve, he only needed to complete the missions given by the students. Many of the Dragon Emperor kingdoms around Donghuang Yongwu College would issue missions to Donghuang Yongwu College. Those missions were not particularly difficult, but the Dragon Emperor powerhouses of the Dragon Emperor kingdoms did not have the time to deal with them. Therefore, they entrusted the missions to Donghuang Yongwu College. It was basically an opportunity for the students to gain experience. When Kong Shinmu returned to Donghuang Yongwu College, he heaved a sigh of relief as he looked at the sea of clouds and felt the energy of the dragon mark lingering around him. It seemed like a long time had passed since he returned to the Dragon Emperor dynasty. However, to him, this was just a small interlude in his cultivation process. He returned to his palace. Inside the palace, Xiao Chen first sat down and rested for a while, absorbing some of the dragon mark's energy. He discovered that the increase in his divine dragon blood essence was indeed very small. It was not because the effects of the dragon mark had decreased, but because he had been upgraded to Dragon King. If he upgraded to Dragon Emperor, it would be harder to see the effects. However, the dragon mark energy that he had absorbed was definitely an irreplaceable treasure for ordinary dragon warriors. Everyone wanted to get their hands on it, but it was a pity that it was used to nurture the Super Shenron. Ordinary dragon warriors without talent would not be able to get their hands on it. Only Kong Shinmu could absorb it into his body and pass it on to others through his devouring power. If that's the case, then the devouring power that the Black Dragon's consciousness has given me far surpasses that of the creator of Donghuang Yongwu College, the Supreme Divine Dragon, the Dragon of Calamity, Kong Shinmu thought. Soon, he rested for 2 days and planned to directly complete the mission on the Experience Stone Tablet. In the outermost, Alcade district of Donghuang Yongwu College, the Experience Stone Tablet mission was the easiest. Basically, the Divine Dragon Blood Essence of the Holy Dragon level could be completed by someone at the 3rd or 5th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. And Kong Shinmu had the Dragon King level Divine Dragon Blood Essence. Although he was only at the 2nd stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, his strength was not bad. He could choose some of the less difficult missions by himself. He flew to the place where the Experience Stone Tablet was located, and found that there was no one near the Sea of Clouds. After Chu Yueqiang returned, she did not look for Kong Shinmu to talk. It was as if she had never been to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Kong Shinmu did not care about this. He knew that in Donghuang Yonggu College, many things depended on oneself. Every once in a while, the tutors would choose some suitable origin dragon martial arts techniques for the students to cultivate. If a student wanted to cultivate the origin dragon martial arts technique, other than waiting for the tutors to teach them a few times a year, they had to accumulate enough experience points to exchange for it. Of course, for the Alcade district mission, it was very difficult to accumulate enough experience points to exchange for the origin dragon martial arts technique. It would take a long time. Kong Shinmu did not think about it for the time being. The right thing to do was to focus on raising his cultivation level. Raising his cultivation level would increase his combat strength. When that time came, he would be able to enter the core area of Donghuang Yonggu College and earn experience points faster. This one. Kong Shinmu quickly chose a mission with the lowest difficulty. This experience stone tablet mission was issued by the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country, near Donghuang Yonggu College. The goal of the experience stone tablet mission was not to go to the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country. Instead, it was to go to a small subsidiary country of the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country to find a little princess who had gone missing after entering the monster forest. For example, there were many Dragon Emperor countries near Donghuang Yonggu College. Among them, there were a few Dragon Emperor level powerhouses. Because it was near Donghuang Yonggu College, there were usually very few people who would cause trouble. These subsidiary countries were the countries that had survived after the death of the Dragon Emperor powerhouses. However, no Dragon Emperor country dared to send troops to annex them, so they could only take them as subsidiary countries. This time, the Experience Stone Tablet mission that Kong Shinmu accepted was a small subsidiary country of the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country, Xueqi Dragon Country. This small subsidiary country used to have a Dragon Emperor powerhouse. It was said that the country's name did not mean that everyone in the country was female. The current king of Xueqi Dragon Country was also a man. What Kong Shinmu wanted to do was to go to the monster forest to find a little princess. Monster. Speaking of monsters, Kong Shinmu felt a little nostalgic. In the past, when he was searching for Donghuang Yonggu College, he almost died in the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. In the end, he was saved by a monster. It was also because of the monster's teleportation formation that he could quickly arrive at Qingcang Dragon Country and arrive at Donghuang Yonggu College. Of course, if he had not been treated unfairly in Qingcang Tianlong Court, his current combat power would definitely be higher. Let's go. After accepting the Experience Stone Tablet mission, Kong Shinmu could easily use the East Emperor formation and teleport to the location of the mission target. He quickly passed through the East Emperor formation and headed to Xueqi Dragon Country. Along the way, he did not encounter any other students of Donghuang Yonggu College. Originally, the area of Donghuang Yonggu College was too vast, and the number of students in Donghuang Yonggu College was only a few hundred. Of course, it was not easy to see them. He was really lucky to bump into Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua last time. After all, many people spent most of their time cultivating and absorbing the energy of the Dragon Mark. How could they be like Kong Shinmu, who could easily absorb the energy of the Dragon Mark at a speed that was several times faster? If Kong Shinmu was willing, he could even absorb it faster. However, that would attract attention. There was no need for that. He could take it slow. I just hope that Father can hold on and wait for me to save you. Chapter 4194. Xueqi Dragon Country. The size of this country was definitely not smaller than the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. However, because the Dragon Emperor powerhouse had died and no new Dragon Emperor powerhouse was born, it could only become a subsidiary country of the neighboring Sacred Abyss Dragon Country. Kong Shinmu passed through the East Emperor formation and arrived at Xueqi Dragon Country's imperial city. At this time, Xueqi Dragon Country's imperial city's strongest powerhouse, who was also a blood essence inheritor of the Dragon King level. However, Kong Shinmu was a bit puzzled. The princess disappearance should be a big deal. Shouldn't it be announced to Donghuang Yonggu College? It should be Xueqi Dragon Country's royalty personally searching for it. After all, they had Dragon King level reincarnation tribulation realm powerhouses. They were definitely stronger than the students of Donghuang Yonggu College's Alcade district. Moreover, the difficulty of this mission was the lowest. Logically speaking, Xueqi Dragon Country should be able to solve it. However, Kong Shinmu soon found out the reason. After he arrived at Xueqi Dragon Country's imperial city, two guards immediately ran over. He showed the ice and snow mark on his wrist and they knew that Donghuang Yonggu College had come. Sir, General Yang is in charge of this matter. Please follow us to see General Yang. The two guards brought Kong Shinmu to a drill ground in the imperial city. Soon, Kong Shinmu saw a short but oppressive general in armor in the central hall of the drill ground. He was General Yang, who was in charge of this matter. His eyes were small and sized up Kong Shinmu the moment he saw him. This is the little brother from Donghuang Yonggu College? It's really too troublesome, little brother. This matter is actually very simple. It's just that the royal family has lost a princess and they're actually unwilling to search for her. There's nothing we can do. The short, small-eyed General Yang sighed. Why? Kong Shinmu really couldn't understand this. When you see the Fire Phoenix Princess, you should understand. General Yang didn't seem to want to meddle in this matter. I'm quite busy here too. I really can't leave. I can only leave this matter to little brother. Just tell me where the demonic beast forest is. Although Kong Shinmu was curious, the most important thing for him was to quickly improve his cultivation, so he didn't want to waste time. To him, the Begging Phoenix Dragon Country's mission was only a small interlude. As long as he completed it, he would no longer have the slightest connection to this place. 150 kilometers north from here is the Seeking Phoenix Forest. Only those with a certain level of status can enter the demonic beast forest. Normally, there are very few accidents. In the end, the Fire Phoenix Princess went in for 7 days and 7 nights without coming out. Only then did people realize that she was missing. General Yang squinted his small eyes and said, "Then I'll leave it to little brother. Only with the token can you enter the Praying Phoenix Forest. Goodbye." Kong Shinmu took the token and turned to leave. After leaving the imperial city, he turned into a dragon and flew away. The 1,500-meter-long black dragon flew freely in the sky. 150 kilometers wasn't too far for him. Very soon, he saw a vast forest that rose and fell in front of him. It was a dense forest in the middle of a mountain range. One could hear the roars of many fierce beasts and the cries of birds faintly coming from the forest. It gave off the feeling of an ancient desolate forest. The Fire Phoenix Princess had disappeared in this dense forest. There were guards from the Begging Phoenix Dragon Country guarding the 4 entrances to the Praying Phoenix Forest. Kong Shinmu randomly chose a direction, showed the token General Yang gave him, and entered the Praying Phoenix Forest. There weren't many demonic beasts around the forest. After all, demonic beasts weren't brainless. They knew that many dragon warriors would come to the Praying Phoenix Forest to kill them, so they hid in the depths of the forest. If Kong Shinmu wanted to find the Fire Phoenix Princess, he would need to spend a lot of time. After all, the Praying Phoenix Forest was very big. Moreover, the Fire Phoenix Princess had already died here, so it was hard to say. If she was eaten by demonic beasts, how am I supposed to find her? Won't I never be able to complete this mission? Kong Shinmu thought to himself and was a little puzzled. However, he still quickly advanced towards the depths of the Praying Phoenix Forest. He turned into a black divine dragon and shuttled through the forest like a black shadow. He searched the forest at an extremely fast speed. The Praying Phoenix Forest was the hunting ground of the nobles of the Begging Phoenix Dragon Country. There were many demonic beasts here, but most of them were for the young to gain experience. They weren't strong. Sensing the aura of the Dragon King's blood essence from Kong Shinmu, all of them shrewdly hid themselves. There was no trace of them at all. Kong Shinmu didn't see many demonic beasts along the way. Even if he did see those gentle demonic beasts that had nowhere to hide, they would lean against a tree and watch him fly past. The entire Praying Phoenix Forest was formed by more than 10 connected mountain peaks. It occupied a vast area with a radius of hundreds of miles. When Jiang Shenwu entered, he found quite a number of human footprints. This is the aura of a divine dragon. After about 2 hours, Kong Shinmu felt the aura of a divine dragon near a mountain peak. It was the aura of a fire divine dragon. The Fire Phoenix Princess. From the name, one could tell that her divine dragon bloodline should be of the fire attribute. Moreover, from the aura that Kong Shinmu felt, the level of the Fire Phoenix Princess's divine dragon blood essence was very high. It was filled with the aura of a pure flame. This was definitely not a simple character. Kong Shinmu followed the aura of the fire divine dragon and chased after it. After twisting and turning, he quickly arrived at a valley. This valley was almost impossible to discover from the sky. It could only be entered from the ground. No wonder ordinary people couldn't find the Fire Phoenix Princess. Or perhaps, they didn't even look for her. Jiang Xinwu walked into the valley. He was surrounded by overgrown vines, and there was also the aura of a fire attribute divine dragon lingering in the surroundings. He could feel the aura of some not weak demonic beasts, hidden in the dark and observing him. The strength of these demonic beasts could really fight against Kong Xinmu. However, Kong Xinmu didn't provoke them and he didn't have the smell of demonic beasts' blood on him. This meant that he didn't hunt any demonic beasts in the praying phoenix forest. Therefore, these demonic beasts couldn't be bothered to come out and fight with Kong Xinmu. After all, no one knew what kind of powerful dragon warrior would stand behind Kong Xinmu if they fought. If they took the initiative to come out, they would be courting death. Who? Suddenly, a figure wearing a long red dress appeared in the valley. She was at the entrance of a cave. Her appearance was like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. Separated by countless vines and vegetation, she glanced at Kong Xinmu. Even though they were far apart, Kong Xinmu could feel the rich fire attribute power contained in her body. It was an extremely powerful flame that surpassed ordinary flames. However, the grade of her divine dragon blood essence was only at the sky dragon level. It wasn't too strong, but of course, it wasn't weak either. It's just that this flame blood essence is of a very high grade. The upper limit of its growth probably far exceeds that of a sky dragon. It might even reach the level of the Dragon Emperor. Chapter 4195. Are you the Fire Phoenix Princess? Kong Xinmu glanced at the figure in the fiery red dress and asked politely, I am from Donghuang Yonggu College. I have accepted the mission to bring you back to Phoenix Dragon Country. Donghuang Yonggu College? The figure in the fiery red dress was somewhat puzzled. What is that? You don't know? Kong Xinmu immediately frowned. How could this princess of Phoenix Dragon Country not know about Donghuang Yonggu College? One had to know that this place was not far from Donghuang Yonggu College, unlike the remote Dragon Emperor dynasty. It was fine if she didn't know about Donghuang Yonggu College. But she shouldn't not know about Phoenix Dragon Country. Could it be that this Fire Phoenix Princess didn't have any status in Phoenix Dragon Country, and no one had even mentioned Donghuang Yonggu College to her? Kong Xinmu was sure that the person in front of him was definitely the Fire Phoenix Princess. He sized up the woman's graceful figure and was somewhat puzzled. This princess's face was delicate and beautiful like a fairy. Her figure was also filled with temptation. The places that should be perky were perky, and the places that should be thin were thin. Why was she so unpopular in Phoenix Dragon Country? I don't know. The figure in the red dress sized up Kong Xinmu from afar. But no matter who you are, you should go back. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. All the demon beasts in this valley listen to my orders. So powerful. Kong Xinmu was somewhat astonished. He never thought that a human could actually control all the demon beasts in the valley. This was something he had never imagined. Could it be that this was the reason why the Fire Phoenix Princess was not welcomed by Phoenix Dragon Country? Even when she disappeared in the Phoenix Forest, no one was willing to come and find her. They only symbolically issued a mission of the lowest difficulty of Donghuang Yonggu College. There was definitely something strange about this Fire Phoenix Princess. However, Kong Xinmu wasn't sure what was strange about it. Seeing that the other party had no intention of returning with him, Kong Xinmu furrowed his brows. Looking around, he could feel that there were many Yao beasts secretly observing them. It seemed that as long as he showed the slightest bit of ill intent, they would all attack him. No matter what, since I have accepted the mission, I will definitely bring you back. Kong Xinmu shook his head and said slowly, Let your demonic beasts attack. Today, I must bring you back. You don't know what's good for you. A look of anger appeared on the face of the young girl in the red dress, making her look even more exquisite and cute. That exquisite and pretty appearance of hers was simply enough to make people fall deeply in love with her, and be unable to extricate themselves. Take him down, the young girl said directly. Immediately, in the next moment, a series of rustling sounds came from the forest around Kong Xinmu. One after another, powerful demonic beasts appeared around Kong Xinmu, completely surrounding him. There were cheetahs, fierce tigers, and a group of shadow wolves. There were a total of 10 demonic beasts, and all of them were equivalent to Nirvana Tribulation Realm demon kings. When these demonic beasts appeared, they all glared at Kong Shinmu, their eyes revealing an ominous glint. Seeing this, Kong Shinmu knew that he had to take action this time. He was only here to bring the Fire Phoenix Princess back. He couldn't be bothered with anything else. Of course, these demonic beasts seemed to be friends with the Fire Phoenix Princess, so it was not convenient for him to kill them all. Although they all had the strength to contend against Kong Shinmu was not afraid in the slightest. Dragon Transformation. Kong Shinmu roared angrily. Immediately, a 500-jong-long pitch-black divine dragon body appeared in the middle of the valley and soared high up in the sky. In the sky above the valley, countless vines covered the sky, and only rays of sunlight shone down. When Kong Shinmu transformed into a black dragon and flew high into the sky, all the light was blocked out, and the entire valley turned into darkness. However, this was nothing to the demonic beasts. They often slept during the day and came out to hunt at night. Therefore, even in the darkness, they could clearly capture the whereabouts of their prey. Right now, to them, Kong Shinmu was their prey. Void Dragon raising the heavens. After Kong Shinmu transformed into a dragon, he made the first move and directly rushed towards a cheetah. Several pitch-black dragon cannons shot towards the cheetah. The cheetah demon beast's entire body flickered with endless lightning. When it felt a tyrannical force sweeping towards it, its surroundings immediately erupted with endless lightning, blocking Kong Shinmu's Void Dragon raising the heavens. It's actually blocked. When Kong Shinmu saw this scene, he was immediately surprised. The Thunder Leopard's strength was extremely terrifying. If it was in existence with the blood essence of an ordinary Dragon King, it would need to be at least at the 4th or 5th stage of Nirvana Tribulation Realm to be able to compare to it. Fortunately, Kong Shinmu's Void Dragon raising the heavens was an origin dragon martial skill after all. Furthermore, it had been cultivated to the highest level, the heaven level. It was still able to completely stall the Thunder Leopard. The black dragon cannons that were continuously shot out caused the Thunder Leopard to be unable to counterattack against Kong Shinmu. On the other hand, the other fierce tigers and shadow wolves all rushed towards the pitch-black divine dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into. At this level, although these demon beasts looked much smaller than a divine dragon, their understanding of strength was not inferior to a dragon martial artist. Wind, thunder, water, fire, and all kinds of elemental attacks poured towards Kong Shinmu. There were also 2 shadow wolves that possessed incomparably terrifying speed. Furthermore, their powerful wolf claws were strengthened by their bloodline. In an instant, they landed on Kong Shinmu's dragon scales and actually tore them off, along with a large piece of flesh. This was the terrifying combat strength of demon beasts. Now, every demon beast that Kong Shinmu was facing had combat strength equivalent to a Dragon King's 4th stage Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon martial artist. This made Kong Shinmu feel extremely pressured. However, his opponents were demon beasts after all. It wasn't that he looked down on demon beasts, but the power that demon beasts could use was ultimately weaker than a dragon martial artist of the same level. To demon beasts, their strongest point was their fleshly body. Therefore, their attack power was weaker, and it was more difficult to kill them. This characteristic was not a weakness. On the contrary, it was a strong point compared to a dragon martial artist. It was very difficult to kill them. However, when dealing with Kong Shinmu, this became a fatal weakness. Because Kong Shinmu's dragon body was also strong, and his defense was terrifying. Once his opponents were unable to kill him in an instant, he could maintain an undefeatable position. In the end, he could turn defeat into victory and seriously injure all of these demon beasts. When those demon beasts pounced on Kong Shinmu, the pitch-black Nirvana devouring power finally burst out and exploded in all directions, enveloping the entire valley in a pitch-black color. Kong Shinmu began to devour the various elemental powers that were spread all over the place, increasing his resistance to those elemental powers. In the beginning, the demon beasts caused extremely high damage to him, causing his entire body to be in pain. However, he had long been used to this kind of pain. Chapter 4196. The devouring Nirvana force turned the entire valley pitch black. In the valley, the vines that grew around were all corroded by the devouring power, and their vitality was completely eroded away. These vitality were all turned into healing power for Kong Shin-mu, allowing his injuries to recover rapidly. Even the dragon scales that were torn off could be recovered. This was simply shocking to the majority of dragon martial artists. Those demonic beasts besieged Kong Shin-mu, but under the corrosion of Kong Shin-mu's devouring nirvana force, each and every one of them gradually became weaker and weaker. The first siege did not completely kill Kong Shin-mu, so he was able to become stronger as the battle went on. Relying on the devouring power, he was able to defeat the strong with the weak. There were so many demonic beasts present, and each of them was extremely powerful. If it were other dragon martial artists with the same divine dragon blood essence grade and the same cultivation level as Kong Shin-mu, they would have long been unable to withstand it, and their entire divine dragon body would have been torn to pieces. But now the pitch-black divine dragon body that Kong Shin-mu had transformed into defeated the demonic beasts one after another, causing them to fall into the valley with heavy injuries. This was Kong Shin-mu's current terrifying battle strength. He had cultivated many body-tempering dragon martial techniques, such as Magic Crystal, Dragon Martial God Shield, Chaotic Dragon Body, and so on, all of which were his defensive methods. Due to the existence of the devouring power, he only needed to focus on cultivating the defensive dragon martial techniques, and he would be able to improve his strength extremely quickly. Although this kind of battle would be very painful for him every time, he had long gotten used to this kind of pain. The pain of the divine dragon body being torn apart was almost unimaginable for ordinary dragon martial artists, and most of them could not bear it. But for Kong Shin-mu, it could make his battle intent even more vigorous. His super strong willpower allowed him to ignore a lot of pain. Even if his divine dragon body was torn apart, he could still bear it. Extreme pain brought about an extreme increase in battle strength. If not for this, Kong Shin-mu would not have been able to reach such a tyrannical level in such a short period of time. Boom, 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 bang. The pitch-black divine dragon erupted with power in the valley. The pitch-black devouring power even devoured the vines that blocked the sunlight above the valley, turning them into a means for Kong Shin-mu to recover his vitality. As long as there was life, it could be devoured by the devouring power. This terrifying power once again made Kong Shin-mu realize how heaven-defying it was. As the demonic beasts in the surroundings fell to the ground one by one, all of them were heavily injured and their life force was plundered. The outcome of the battle was already decided. Kong Shin-mu transformed back into his human form and landed at the bottom of the valley. Amidst the crowd of demonic beasts that had lost their ability to fight, he walked towards the beautiful girl in a fiery red dress. Don't come over." When the girl saw Kong Shin-mu's pitch-black devouring power spreading out, she was so scared that tears streamed down her cheeks. "It's not like I'm going to kill you. I'm just going to bring you back to Xueqi Dragon Country." Kong Shin-mu shook his head. He didn't know why this girl was so scared. I'm not the Fire Phoenix Princess. Don't act recklessly. It's useless even if you bring me back. You won't be able to complete the mission." When the girl saw Kong Shin-mu walking closer and closer, she hurriedly shook her head. Her small head was like a rattle drum that couldn't be stopped. "You're not." When Kong Shin-mu heard this, he was instantly stunned. This girl was actually not the Fire Phoenix Princess? This must be a joke. Although he didn't encounter any pressure in the intense battle just now, he still spent a lot of time. In the end, the other party was actually not the Fire Phoenix Princess? "I really am not. Believe me." The girl shook her head vigorously. "If you're not the Fire Phoenix Princess, then who are you? Where is the Fire Phoenix Princess?" Kong Shin-mu frowned slightly. He felt that this girl was indeed strange. "I'm a fox demon." The girl carefully looked at Kong Shin-mu, then said with extreme vigilance, "Stand there and don't move. If you come any closer, you'll never be able to pick up the Fire Phoenix Princess." Kong Shin-mu stopped in his tracks and sized up the girl. Fox demons were a type of demon beast. They actually had the ability to transform into human form. Furthermore, it was so lifelike that even Kong Shin-mu couldn't see through it. However, what was with the fire attribute divine dragon blood essence that he felt? There's the aura of divine dragon blood essence in your body. What's going on? Could it be that you killed the Fire Phoenix Princess? Kong Shin-mu's expression sank slightly. No. The fox demon girl looked at Kong Shin-mu warily. "Don't come over. The Fire Phoenix Princess. The Fire Phoenix Princess is currently unconscious in order to save me. You can't take advantage of her. The princess will definitely not be willing to return with you. Bring me to see her. Kong Shinmu couldn't be bothered to waste his breath and directly walked towards the fox demon girl. You're not allowed to act recklessly. The fox demon girl immediately tightened her tail, her pretty face full of anxiety. But very quickly, Kong Shinmu had already arrived in front of her. From her aura, this absolute beauty was really a fire attribute dragon warrior. However, when Kong Shinmu saw her nervously clamping her tail, he knew that she was indeed a fox demon girl and not the fire phoenix princess he was looking for. You better not be lying to me. If something happens to the fire phoenix princess and I can't complete my mission, I'll capture you. Kong Shinmu said fiercely to her. This scared the red-dressed girl so much that her face paled. Furthermore, Kong Shinmu had already arrived in front of her. His fierce aura that had severely injured so many demon beasts almost scared her to tears. Her originally soft and graceful body was now completely frozen at the entrance of the cave. She watched helplessly as Kong Shinmu arrived in front of her, trembling slightly. But even though she was afraid, she still stood in front of Kong Shinmu and stopped him. She opened her arms, closed her eyes, clenched her teeth and threw caution to the wind. I don't care, you can't harm the fire phoenix princess and you can't bring her back. You absolutely cannot harm the fire phoenix princess. Harm the fire phoenix princess? Kong Shinmu frowned slightly. I'm only bringing her back to Xueqi Dragon Country, why would I harm her? There seemed to be some inside information that Kong Shinmu didn't understand. He stopped in front of the fox demon girl and felt the alluring fragrance from her body. He felt relaxed and happy. He asked, just what happened, tell me. The fox demon girl carefully opened her beautiful eyes and looked at him. Even though Kong Shinmu didn't have any intention of making a move, she was still trembling with fear. She carefully began to speak. The fire phoenix princess is a good person. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to live until now. But the Xueqi Dragon Country's royal family treats her too badly. If you bring her back, she really will die. Chapter 4197. Kong Shinmu quickly understood some things about the Fire Phoenix Princess. He finally understood why the Xueqi Dragon Country did not care about the Fire Phoenix Princess. The Fire Phoenix Princess was only 22 years old. Compared to the lifespan of a dragon warrior, she could only be considered a little girl. On the day she was born, there was a great fire that burned down the side palace where her mother was. Her mother died on that day. When she was rescued from the fire, her entire body was burned and she was extremely ugly. Everyone in the royal family despised her. Moreover, her mother was the favorite concubine of the Dragon King of the Xueqi Dragon Country's royal family. Therefore, even her father did not like her. No one in the entire Xueqi Dragon Country's royal family liked the Fire Phoenix Princess. This caused the Fire Phoenix Princess to feel inferior since she was young. Even the maids in the palace did not treat her well for various reasons. She was also instigated by the other princesses and princes to make things difficult for her in daily life. Because she caused the death of her mother, the Fire Phoenix Princess had always blamed herself. She wanted to be good to others and everyone. But in exchange, she was bullied even more severely by others. It was only when she was 16 that she barely managed to cultivate to the Ascension Dragon Realm without any cultivation resources. She obtained the qualifications to obtain the Butterfly Fire Phoenix Dragon's Divine Dragon Inheritance Blood Essence on the Coiling Dragon Pillar. From then on, the Fire Phoenix Princess became famous. This was because the Butterfly Fire Phoenix Dragon was a heavenly dragon's inheritance blood essence. It was the purest fire attribute inheritance blood essence. The ancestor of the Xueqi Dragon Country, the deceased Dragon Emperor, was the inheritor of the Butterfly Fire Phoenix Dragon. This was a type of divine dragon's blood essence that grew extremely quickly. Moreover, it was the pinnacle of fire attribute divine dragon's blood essence. Once obtained, one's future would be limitless. Unfortunately, because her entire body was burned until it was ugly, no one liked her. However, no one of her age continued to bully her. Only the elders of the royal family were still unhappy with her. Later on, an unknown rumor spread that using the Butterfly Fire Phoenix Dragon's divine dragon blood essence as a sacrifice to the ancestor could make the family or even the country prosper. Even the royal family believed in this rumor. Every month, Princess Fire Phoenix's biological father would come and cut her finger to absorb 2 bowls of butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon's blood essence. A portion of this blood essence was used by the royal family to worship their ancestors, and a portion was sold by the royal family to the outside world. It could be sold for a high price on the market, and was bought by some large families within Xueqi Dragon Country to worship their ancestors. In the beginning, the Fire Phoenix princess felt that she had let down her mother. She had always felt inferior and didn't resist. After a year, she felt that she had become extremely weak, so weak that she was about to die. The amount of butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon essence blood in her body was getting thinner and thinner. Even in this situation, her father did not stop absorbing the butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon's essence blood. She had even knelt down and begged her father to stop absorbing her essence blood. However, not only did her father not sympathize with her, he even went from bad to worse. That month, he took away 4 bowls of butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon essence blood, leaving her unconscious in her room. No one cared about her. 3 days later, she finally managed to wake up. She was hungry and weak. She wanted to eat something, but no one in the imperial palace paid any attention to her. She used all her strength to climb onto a white horse and let the white horse send her to Praying Phoenix Forest. Because she had come to Praying Phoenix Forest several times and helped many of the demon beasts, she really didn't want to stay in the imperial city anymore. However, she had nowhere else to go, so she could only choose to come to Praying Phoenix Forest and associate with the demon beasts. She came for 7 days and 7 nights. The royal family didn't realize that she was missing at first. Later, a maid went to look for her, but she couldn't find her. Her father sent people to investigate, and only then did they know that she had come to Praying Phoenix Forest. However, no one in the royal family was willing to look for her. In any case, there wasn't much butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon essence blood left in her body. There was no value in finding her, and it was very likely that the Fire Phoenix princess was already dead. If word of this spread, it would naturally affect the royal family badly. Therefore, they issued a mission for the students of Donghuang Yonggu College to find her. They wouldn't lose anything if they found her. If they couldn't find her, they wouldn't lose anything either. They would just lack the butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon's essence blood in the future. The princess came to Praying Phoenix Forest and said that she wanted to live here forever. We were all very happy. The fox demon girl in front of Kong Shinmu started crying as she spoke. Tears flowed down her face. Everyone brought the princess to this valley and let her have a good rest here. But at that time, I fell sick, and it was a very serious illness. Every fox demon that contracted this illness would die. The princess, although she didn't have much essence blood left, she still transferred her butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon essence blood to me. She actually saved me. Now she is really very weak. She has been unconscious all this time, and there is only a sliver of the butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon essence left in her body. The fox demon girl's words made Kong Shinmu feel deeply moved. Originally, he didn't want to care about these things. He just wanted to find the Fire Phoenix princess and bring her back to earn points. But now, he changed his mind. The Praying Phoenix Dragon Country's royal family was actually so cold-blooded. They treated a girl who had been burnt since she was young. And her father actually took his own daughter's blood as a sacrifice. Even though his daughter was so weak that she didn't even have the strength to speak, he didn't show any mercy. He was worse than a beast. Take me to the princess. Kong Shinmu looked at the fox demon girl who was crying her eyes out and said, "No." The fox demon girl instantly became alert. She wiped the tears on her face. "If you see the princess, I can't stop you from taking her away. I can do whatever you want to me, but I will never let you see the princess. I can do whatever I want to you." Kong Shinmu looked up and down at the fox demon girl's perfect and graceful figure. He shook his head. "I have no interest in you. But if you don't let me see her, how do I know if you're telling the truth? Besides, the butterfly Fire Phoenix dragon essence blood in her body is almost gone. Perhaps I can try and see if I can save her." "You want to save the princess?" The fox demon girl looked at him suspiciously. "I can try, but I can't guarantee success." Kong Shinmu nodded. "If what you say is true, I can give up on taking her away. So, take me to see her." "I don't believe you." The fox demon girl was naturally wary of humans. "Even if you don't take me, do you think I won't be able to find her?" You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.